Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. I want to share a little story from my own life yesterday and then address some content creators, some more popular than others, some who've been around longer than others. And again, I want to also address what this YouTube platform does. It's a disinformation platform, and it promotes disinformation, and it censors things that are dangerous to the system, if you will. But yesterday I happened to be in an auto shop lobby for probably pretty close to 4 hours, and took longer than it was supposed to. And about 5 minutes after I sat down, a gentleman sat down next to me, a little bit older than me. Turned out he was 79 years old. He was in great shape, though. He didn't look 79. And by the way, I'm just going to say, I asked him at some point, him and I had a very long conversation. I said, you look like you take care of yourself. He goes, I've always worked out for at least an hour a day, every day. And then his quote back to me was, you know what 1 hour is? And I said, I don't know, an hour. He goes, it's only 4.6% of your day. That's nothing. So everybody should be able to put in at least an hour. I said, I like that perspective. I said, I'm going to share that one with my dad and see if it helps him out. Again, this guy was 7 years older than my dad and looked younger than my dad. And my dad, once upon a time, was a good athlete himself, but he hasn't really done much with his body since he turned 40. Anyway. When he sat down next to me, I had a laptop on my lap. I was working on the NFL Week 8 decode. For people who don't know what we do a lot of things. We cover how rigged the news is. We cover how rigged the sports is. For example, yesterday, my NBA notes that were put out early in the morning said Thunder should pick up their 125th win versus the Rockets in the all-time head-to-head 125 days from their coach's birthday, Mark Daigneault. If you saw the score of last night's Thunder game, not only did they pick up their 125th win versus the Rockets, they scored 125 points. And again, that's why we call it nothing but actors. The NBA scripted, just like pro sports, just like the news, just like politics, like how it's all scripted together. And for years, we've been educating about this. And a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And certain people who act like they're truth tellers online, they've taken numerous shots at my work and tried to downplay it, while their whole ideology hinges on false quotes that there's no proof even were ever said. There's a lot of people like this on YouTube. They just say the same quotes over and over that supposedly were said by Rothschilds, by heads of the CIA. But there's zero proof anywhere that they were ever said. But a lot of people know these quotes and know them by heart. But there's no proof they were ever said. And that's why you don't want to rely on something that was supposedly said 300 years ago. We're giving you information that proves what's going on every single day and how rigged the game is, from what's going on in the White House to what's going on your favorite news station. It doesn't matter. We don't discriminate, to your rigged sports games, you know. Anyway. So yesterday, I'm in the auto shop. I'm working on the laptop. Gentleman sits down next to me about 5 minutes later, and I can tell he's trying to start a conversation, because almost as soon as he sits down next to me, looks over, he goes, man, this place knows how to take $1,000 from you quick, don't they? And I look back at him and I said, it's crazy how much everything costs these days. And then he got a phone call, and it was super loud, and he looked at me and goes, I've been meaning to learn how to turn this thing down. You know how to turn the volume down a little bit over here? And I said, I can take a look at it for you. It's probably in the settings. And I kept trying to go back to work because I'm trying to get my football thing done. And the news was on, just like in a lot of car lobbies, and Trump came on. And the guy said, hey, man, how do you feel about Donald Trump? I think he's doing a great job, real businessman. I said, I don't know if you want to know what I think about Donald Trump. He goes, oh, no, you're not one of those libs, are you? I said, definitely not. I said, I don't like either side of the political aisle. He goes, oh, really? Oh, really? So anyway, I said, do you like to learn things? He said, maybe. I said, here's where I took him back to start. I said, do you remember the day that Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs and died? He goes, I don't think I do. I don't think I knew that his ex-wife died. So we both had our phones there. So I went through and I just showed him news stories. So I went back to July 14th, 2022, and I showed him how Ivana Trump supposedly fell down the stairs and died. And I pointed out to him, I said, you might have seen the photo of him and Ivana in History magazine cover, them sitting on the spiraling staircase with the gold banister. And he goes, I think I have seen that. I said, so that's why it's kind of ironic that she fell down a staircase and died, supposedly. And I said, if you go back to that day, I said, I happened to do a little social media. I said, that morning before that news broke, I still remembered what I shared with my audience. He goes, oh, social media. And I said, yeah, I do a lot of things. I cover the news. I cover sports. Again, him and I ended up talking for over 3 hours. Both of us were in the auto shop forever waiting on our car. So one of the longest conversations ever. And I'll tell you what was cool by the end of it is when they came to get him, because his car was very low before mine, he said, hold on, because we were in the middle of something. He stayed there and talked to me for about 20 more minutes. And the point I'm going to get to, as long-winded as it might be, is this man was a Trump diehard, but I had him seriously considering it. Is Trump part of some big show that's getting the better of us? But it started right here. I just decided to start right here with the death of his wife. I said, now listen, that day that news broke, that wasn't the first story about Trump. There were two stories that happened in the same news day, in the same news cycle before it was announced that his wife had died. And I covered those two stories before the wife died. And I said, this is why they're important. I said, the first story that came out that day was conservatives against Trump who thought he had too many legal problems because he had 60 outstanding legal cases against him at the time, supposedly. And I said, 60 matters. Because later that day, Trump informally said he was going to run in the upcoming election. It was the first time he clarified if he was going to run or not. And remember, we were telling you way before any of this happened that Trump was going to get installed in the 60th election. Of course, we know Gematria and how Donald Trump equals 60 and how he was going to come back as a split-term president like Grover Cleveland at age 78, like he had his convention in Cleveland in 2016. Again, this is the kind of information every American should have. And by the way, that's the other point I'm going to make, because this man said, I'm surprised I haven't heard about any of this. He was pretty mind-blowing, and he felt like he should have known this at age 79. He's like, I don't know how I've never heard about any of this. Well, that's thanks to, the system that keeps the important information down and puts all the crap out there. Like YouTube promotes all the crap, all these people on the street not knowing anything themselves and then filming people who are even dumber than them and saying, oh, see how dumb the other side is? It's like, no, you're both completely brain dead. But anyway, I brought it together with him about how 60 cases, Trump saying he's going to run in the election, which is the 60th, and then his ex-wife dies. And I said, here's where the 60 piece gets more interesting. I said, are you aware of what the Jesuit order is? And he actually was. He had a little idea about the Jesuits. He knew about the universities, the hospitals, that they served the Pope. And I said, did you know that, for example, Abraham Lincoln blamed the Civil War in history on the Jesuits? And he didn't know that. I said, I encouraged him to look into it because it's a fact. And I said, look into what Jefferson and Adams said about the Jesuits, how if they came out of suppression, for people who don't know, the Jesuits were in suppression when this nation was founded. I said, if you look into what they said, they were both very outspoken about how the Jesuits could subvert this nation if they came out of suppression. And I explained to him, look, the nation's capital moved to D.C. the year that the Jesuits established their first university there, Georgetown, and that's when George Washington becomes the first recognized president. And keep in mind that was 13 years after the 13 stripes and the 13 colonies with 13 years of slave school where we never really learned anything about anything. But I said, here's where it gets extra interesting that day, July 14th, 2022. I said about these Jesuits, I said they were celebrating their first ever Jesuit Ignatian year, which ran more than a typical calendar year. And it began May 20th, 2021, the 500th anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball. And it ended July 31st, 2022, just before Trump's wife died. And I said, if you look, that was exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. 60 weeks in, he comes out, says he's going to run the 60th election. 60, the conservatives against Trump based on 60 legal cases, and now his ex-wife dead, all in the same day. And I said, if you look into the Jesuit history, you'll see that 60 number is not arbitrary to them, because when they were recognized by the Roman Catholic Church in 1540, for their first decade, the Pope limited their order to 60 members. And I said, think about also just the assassination stuff, because the 1860 election gave us Lincoln, who was assassinated, who blamed the war on the Jesuits. And there was John Surratt. He didn't even know about John Surratt, but he was taking notes. He said, I'm going to look into all this stuff. He didn't know about John Surratt, the Jesuit assassin who got away and was protected by the Vatican for the rest of his life. And they executed John Surratt's mom in place of him because they couldn't get him. And again, I mean, think about it, you guys. We go to slave school for 13 years and we don't learn about any of this. And it's all historical fact. Think about that. I mean, that just shows you the system is trying to keep you in certain lanes of information, just like YouTube does. They don't want you to know things. They don't want you to think anything about secret societies or conspiracies. The system wants you to think all that stuff is stupid, right? Just like YouTube, just like pretty much all these social media platforms. But this man was following and he was getting into it. He's like, wow. He's like, that is either a $1 million coincidence or something's going on there. And I said, and then I had to make the point because, you know, he doesn't like the libs. And I said, this is very similar to what happened with Joe Biden. I said, he lost his son at 46 before he became number 46. And I said, if you look into it, he was elected exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. At this point, I started to reveal to him what Gematria was and where I learned about it. And on my phone, I had the Gematria app calculator. So I was showing him how to make the calculations. He was following along. And keep in mind, this is an intelligent man as well. He ended up bragging a little bit about his life. He's kind of a real estate tycoon. He let me know he's worth over $30 million. So this isn't some dummy. This is an intelligent man who's built a nice little empire for his family. And then he also shared with me that he's not letting his kids have anything. He says, I teach my kids to fish. I don't give them the fish. He said, they're doing well for themselves. And I said, well, what are you going to do someday when you move on to in the next world? He goes, well, I'll cross that bridge when I get there, but I'm planning to live to at least 100. And he looked like he probably will. But anyway, I just want to make the point that I'm not talking to some dummy. I'm talking to an intelligent man, well-to-do. And so anyway, from that example, I said, now here, I just want to give you another example about how, like I just said a few minutes ago, I think both parties are in on it. So now I've given him the Trump wife sacrifice, the Beau Biden sacrifice to keep it fair and balanced here for all you Fox News watchers. So now I drop back to what I love to talk about. I said, are you familiar with this event they do at the White House annually where they bring the comedians and they call it the White House Correspondents' Dinner? He said, oh, yeah, sometimes I even watch that. I said, do you remember the one when Obama was in office where he invited Trump? I said the date was April 30th, 2011. He goes, I don't think so, but I might have seen it back then. I said, well, there were two big jokes you'd probably remember. I said the first one was Obama acknowledged that he was born in Africa, and the joke was told through the movie The Lion King. He holds up Simba the lion saying that's him. And since I'd introduced Gematria, I just, for the record, Simba adds up to 44. So how perfect for number 44. I said hope also equals 44, like you ran on hope and change. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember that hope image. I said, trust me, you learn this letter and number thing, you're going to start seeing how they do this all over the place. You know, at this point, I showed him how Donald Trump equals 60, how Trump alone's 47. You know, he was pretty mind blown by all this. But anyway, the point is, I went into the April 30th, 2011 ritual. I said, so the first joke was him acknowledging to Trump that he was from Africa, going with the whole birther thing, not to mention birther equals 44 as well. But I said the next joke after that was him showing the White House lit up like a casino with Trump in a hot tub with women in bikinis. And he said, Trump will be the next president. And I said, what's amazing about the day he did that is I said it was 45 days before Trump's June 14th birthday, but it was also the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan. And I said, the reason that matters is because if you look into the Church of Satan, it has 5 degrees. And the highest degree is called mega. And he goes, no kidding. I said it is. And I know people think it just means make America great again. And I'm sure that is also a big part of the play. But I said, isn't it interesting that it is the highest degree of the Church of Satan and of all days? And I said, here's the other part of the joke. I said, look into what the name Barak means. It means lightning. And I said, I don't know how familiar you are with Bible verse. He said somewhat. I grew up in the church like a lot of us. I said in the verse Luke 10:18, Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning. So you got Barak, which means lightning in Hebrew, telling this joke on the Church of Satan's birthday to eventually Mr. Mega, number 45. He said, wow, that is something else. And I said, this is what I mean when I say that I'm not a fan of either party. And I think it's all big one big show. And they each do things to drive certain groups of people nuts. And he said, part of the reason that I'm kind of a diehard Republican is he said, when Jimmy Carter was in office, what happened with interest rates nearly destroyed his financial empire. He said he was doing great in life. He was in his mid-30s back then. And he said because of what happened with interest rates, it said it just turned his whole world upside down because he's a real estate guy and he leverages himself. And when apparently he was on what you would call an adjustable rate mortgage for a lot of his property, he'd done all the math and he was making a profit. Again, he's not a dumb guy, but because interest rates went crazy, all of a sudden nothing's profitable. And now he has so many owed expenses to the bankers that he's upside down. So he said at that point he had to sell so many things and wheel and deal. And he said if he hadn't met one man who was willing to work with him, he said he might have been done and his life might have been completely different. But that's all. There's a story in that too, because he had to work hard to save his position. I mean, it wasn't good, but he salvaged what he had and then he built it back up. Like I said, here we are in 2025, and now he, according to what he told me yesterday, he has a $30 million real estate empire. But you understand that's the way kind of people's minds work. He's like, well, when the Democrats were in there, it almost ruined me financially. So now he's pro-Republican. But then I made the point to him because then we got into cooties, and I was telling him, I told him about the year 1968. I said another good thing to look into is all the things that happened in 1968. At some point along the way in this conversation, he asked me, he goes, do you feel like something cataclysmic's coming here to like really change America? And I said, yeah. I said, that's how the people who really run this nation operate. They bring cataclysm to change the course of history and give themselves more power and control. He goes, yeah, I kind of feel that it is something like that too. And I said, and then that's when I jumped into the cooties thing. I said, well, look at, Cooties 19. And of course I called it the real thing because we're not on YouTube, which is also what's dumb about social media, that you have to filter yourself and you can't even say things the way they actually are. And then you do put facts out there and they tell you it's misinformation. Just like when Cooties 19 was going out, I put out the original medical document from 1968 saying that Cooties was diagnosed. Again, Cooties, for people who don't know, you know what Cooties is, right? It's Corona, and then it's virus, and it was coined in 1968. If you go back and look up the original literature from 1968, when it was new, it was coined as seasonal flu. And of course, once upon a time, I put up a video with that documentation, and the video was taken down for medical misinformation. How's it misinformation? All I'm showing is the real scientific paper from 1968 when it was new on the scene. The real problem is YouTube doesn't want people to realize what's going on. Then when they're watching Lester Holt, all of a sudden they have a new perspective. Lester Holt every night is showing graphs of how flu is going down and cooties is going up proportionally. This is a mockery. It's because it is the flu. They locked down the nation. And sure, it might have been a more severe strain. But remember, they even told us on the nightly news. Lester Holt would even tell us it was 99.9% survivable by healthy people. Almost 100. Almost 100 for almost everybody. People who didn't take care of themselves, they might not have made it. And again, I mean, to me, that's what we call natural law, right? You don't take care of yourself, some vicious flu strain comes through, and we know it wasn't nature. And I got into that with him and taught him about the numbers behind cooties in the book I wrote, which he said he's sure gonna. I hope he does go home and look it up. He said he was gonna. He said he'd like to read it. But the point was, I was making the point to him. I said, well, think about how Trump was the leader then. And he goes, yeah. And I said, I mean, do you think he did the best job possible? If you thought it was such a fraud, just like I do, don't you feel like he could have done a better job stopping the fraud? And he said, yeah, he probably could have. I said, here's just the point I'm going to make. Here I am, a guy of modest means. I said, I took $2,500 out of my bank account and I bought a whole bunch of hoodies at a bulk price rate. And I went out in front of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Friday, March 13, 2020, the same day that Trump declared the state of emergency for the nation. And I gave out all the free hoodies to whoever would come. And we gathered about 50 some people out in front of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And we were raising awareness about what Bill Gates has said exactly a decade earlier. We were raising awareness about Event 201, something most people still don't know about to this day, including the gentleman I talked to yesterday. He said he'd never heard of Event 201. It was all news to him. Isn't it sad that we're in the information age and people don't know about these things? Now, granted, this guy's a busy businessman who runs a nice little family empire. I get it. You know, people got things to do. He's focused on the family, making millions. But still, imagine how different people would look at the world if they were aware of these things that are actually going on that are kept on the DL, right? Just like when we brought up Event 201, how many channels and videos did I lose during Cooties 19 for sharing this information? And the thing was, had I had $50,000 to invest in free hoodies and giveaways, we probably could have gathered 1,000 people and we might have made the nightly news. We did have Cairo 7's Deborah Horn come out and not meet with us the first day we did it, but the second day. We were putting in phone calls to the news station. She actually came out because we stayed out there all weekend. We stayed out there March 13th, 14th, and 15th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And again, we did have Deborah Horn come out and interview us, and it was a decent interview. And it seemed like she was interested in what we were saying, but it never made the news. And I don't think that's her decision at the end of the day. For Bill Horn in Seattle, Deborah Horn's one of the main news anchors in the region if you watch Cairo 7. So we got to talk to one of their main people, but it never made the news. They didn't put it on TV. And again, I don't think at the end of the day that was her decision. It's funny, I ended up running into her at the March for Our Lives, and she recognized me and talked to me for a while about why I was out there as well. So we made a memorable impression on that lady. But again, like I said, I mean, if there's more people out there behind us, and they got a crowd of thousands out there, they probably have to put it on the news rather than, 50-some people like we had. And it was pretty cool because we had people flying from Chicago, California, Arizona. I forget what other states. People, even though there was only 50-some people, some people flew all the way out for that event. Shout out to those people. And again, we got a lot of people to stop and listen. We created a buzz in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We found out a lot of their own employees weren't even aware of the Event 201 simulation, which they sponsored. And that's because, of course, only a few people that actually work for Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation were part of the Event 201 simulation. It's not like the whole organization was. But anyway, this conversation I had with this man yesterday, and we touched on a lot of other things too. Again, this was over a 3-hour conversation. By the end of it, he's like, well, you've got me thinking about some things. But I'll also say at his same time at the sentiment, he's like, even if both parties are terrible and in on it, he said, I still think things are a little bit better when we got Republicans in there. I said, maybe, but I said, if you think about it, I said, and him and I had a conversation about 9/11. I said, who was in charge when 9/11 happened? He's like, yeah, it's true. It was a Republican. I said, who was in trouble when, Cooties 19 happened? He's like, yeah, it's true. It wasn't my guy, Trump. So I said, I don't know that we're really better with either party. They're both bad. I don't think they're worthy of our support. And I really do think they're playing a game with us that just keeps us going back and forth and pointing fingers and saying, yeah, we might not be totally pleased here. Again, everybody knows the phrase, the lesser of two evils. But then look, I mean, the lesser of two evils, Trump running on mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan, the Democratic president at the time, Barack, doing this ritual with Trump on the Church of Satan's birthday, their 45th birthday of all days. When I showed him the thing about Trump and how he was called president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, I mean, you could just see this guy's eyes lighting up. I showed him how the Gematria Berlin Wall is 45. I said, think about that. 45th president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the wall when he was running on the coattails of Reagan, who said, tear down that wall as he wants to build a wall. He's like, now that you put it like that, it blows my mind, some of the things that people don't think about. Again, this is an intelligent man who's built a $30 million real estate empire. And it never dawned on him to think about the parallels with Reagan and the wall and Trump and the wall. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And I had to show him how border wall equals 47 like Trump. And we went through all the deaths in the 58th election and the King James and the assassinations and what happened to Charlie Kirk. And I mean, you could tell. And here was another thing. He turned out he's a big baseball fan, right? He's a white guy, older. A lot of older white guys still love baseball, just like my dad. Something that you could just see that his mind was blown. I pointed out what they did last year at the World Series. I said, did you know the only 3 times that the Dodgers have beat the Yankees in the World Series, a president was shot that year? And he goes, no way. I said, look it up. It's a fact. I said, in 1963, when Kennedy was assassinated, I said, the year Reagan got shot and survived, and the year Trump supposedly got shot and survived. And see, I had him actually, he was very convinced Trump had been shot until we started talking about things. He's like, God, maybe it was all a show. But here's what I showed him. I said, it's not just that. It's not just that the Dodgers beat the Yankees the year president was shot. I pulled out the calculator for him. I was going through all this because he was into it. He wasn't like annoyed by it. He wanted to understand the ciphers. It's like, okay, this makes sense to me. I showed him Los Angeles equals 109. By the way, Los Angeles 109, he asked me about the basketball games last night. And I told him, I said, well, the Thunder, I think they're getting their 125th win 125 days before the coach's birthday. I hope he saw the box score and remember what I said, because he must have been grinning going, oh my God, 125 points. But I didn't tell him about Los Angeles and 109. The Lakers lost with 109 last night. Again, you learn these numbers, you see how redundant it is. But anyway, I showed him how Los Angeles equals 109, how Yankees equals 109, how shooting equals 109. And I said, get this. Not only do all those things line up, I said last year when the Dodgers beat the Yankees, they won Game 4, the deciding game, with their 109th total win of the season. And I said, here's the best part. I said, guess how many days after the Trump shooting on July 13th it was? He goes, don't tell me 109. I said, that's exactly how many days later it was. He said, wow. I said, and again, he asked questions like, well, why would they do this? We got into all that. Again, I explained how Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah, and that's how this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from Kabbalah, and how all of the American sports are credited to Freemasons. Again, Abner Doubleday for baseball, Walter Camp for football, Naismith for basketball. And I said, D.C. is known as the Masonic City, named after the Freemason George Washington. And I said, if you look deeper, you'll find out that modern Freemasonry has some parallels to the Jesuits, who are responsible for the calendar and the language and some of the rites of Freemasonry. I said, if you look into Pope Francis, there's rumors that he, the first Jesuit Pope, was a Freemason. And we got into the whole thing with Trump being, the apprentice, and the first degree of Freemasonry being the entered apprentice, and Freemasonry equaling 58, like Rosicrucian, like secret society, like how he won the 58th election after having his convention in Cleveland and King James Stadium after LeBron won on the real King James' birthday. Again, we went over all this. And I mean, you guys, when I have these conversations with people, and it's just like my neighbor over here, who's also a Trump guy, but not as much anymore. And now he's like always talking about sports. But he's not as old as the other guy. He's probably close to 60, but he's super into this now too. He's always asking me about everything. Everything that happens, he wants to know what the numbers are. I find that when I have one-on-one conversations with people in person, outside of my sister, who just won't even listen. And by the way, that guy did make that point that day. He goes, well, even all this stuff you're saying to me, he said, I still feel like conservatives are better people than liberals, because I'll tell you what the worst thing about liberals are. They don't listen to anything, and they get so mad if you try to tell them something, and they're just like angry people. And I said, well, I don't know if that's true about every liberal, but I said, like, my sister is who you're describing. I said, I can't tell her anything without her calling me names and storming off and her face getting all red. So I said, I do know that probably is a more common side effect of the liberals. But I said, I used to have a guy who did the landscaping in our neighborhood who had Trump stickers all over. And he was a pretty nice guy. But if I told him anything about Trump, he would just shut down and run out of there right away. He didn't get mad or angry, but he just would end a conversation in 5 seconds because he couldn't hear anything about his precious Trump. And he said, yeah. I just said, a lot of people are just, they're bought into their lanes. He goes, this is why the world needs more information like what you're putting out and more conversations like this, because he goes, you are making me think about things. And again, the people out there on YouTube who are aware of my work, who take shots at my work and don't like my personality, and I understand that people will not like my personality. Like, I don't care about that. I do play... I'll say it this way. I do play more like an asshole online than I am in person. And that's also the thing too. I wasn't an asshole at all to that guy yesterday. I listened to him and acknowledged his points. And then when he asked, we were having a back and forth, but then when he really got into what I was talking about, it was a lot of me talking and him listening and then asking questions where he needed clarification. Anyway, the point is, there's so many people on YouTube who could have helped this information reach more people. Just like this guy saying yesterday, he's going, man, I can't believe I haven't heard about any of this. He probably would have if more people helped. And here's what I want to get into. I'm sure Brian's going to see that I have him up in the thumbnail and not like that it says, are you listening to liars? But Brian, hey, are you a liar? Here's why I'm going to say that I know you are, Brian. First of all, Brian him and I have been getting closer to getting along because he watched the debate I had with Andrew Wilson earlier this year and thought Andrew Wilson was a complete joke, and he acknowledged that on his own stream. But Brian, he's numerous times over the years, for about a 6-year feud, he's talked about like what a bad person I am and how he knows that my heart is darkness and I'm not a good person, and he thinks I'm here for some whatever the crap, just the crap that he says, which is all bullshit. And the thing that he's still butthurt about is, I called him out for collaborating with white supremacists, which is true, like Adam Green, whatever. White supremacist Adam Green, who did an interview with me and took it down the next day, I'm sure, because his handlers told him to. And just, like things like playing the Fox News outro commercials during the George Floyd riots of black people looting and saying things like, look at the color of all those people stealing in the store. It's like, way to go, Brian. Echo on the racist propaganda that Fox News is putting out. Like only black people steal. I'm sure Fox News was sure to select the footage that only had black people in it. And here you are parroting it. But again, Brian, he tries to downplay the information I'm sharing and act like it's all coincidence. And if anybody knows Brian of High Impact Flicks, AKA Here's the Deal, AKA The Disturbing Illusion, you all know that he's kind of a one-trick pony, and his whole worldview hinges on one quote. And the thing about this quote is there's no proof anywhere that it was ever said. And these quotes it's not just Brian who says this quote. There's a lot of people who share this quote, and it's kind of their main point for their worldview. And again, I'm not here to protect Zionism or bankers or any of that. It's just that when your whole worldview hinges on a quote that there's no proof of was ever said, how flimsy are all of your arguments? And then to try to downplay the guy who's proving his point in spades every single day. But listen, the difference between Brian and I, Brian, who's been allowed to be successful on YouTube, who was allowed to grow his channel to over 500,000 subs by the time I was on my third channel at the time. Brian, who just had a lot of success off the Charlie Kirk assassination, who called it seemingly looking like a hoax from the beginning, and I don't disagree with him, but none of his videos got taken down. I had 3 Charlie Kirk videos taken down for supposedly hate speech. And there was no hate speech. It was just sharing information and understanding what the ritual was right away. We knew what it was right away, how it was all synced with the 31st Superior General of the Jesuits from the moment it happened, like Charlie Kirk at age 31. And that's provable, verifiable, undeniable. While Brian Brian was doing the things that I got my videos taken down for. And then he's connecting it back to the Rothschild quote from the 1700s that there's no proof of. Again, so Brian, that's why if you end up watching this and you say, why is my face up there? I mean, are you a liar? All you have is one quote that there's no proof was ever said, while you try and diminish people like me. And by the way, Brian, for example, said he would never debate me because I use ad hominem attacks. And then him and Owen Benjamin have a debate where he marketed the whole debate with Owen Benjamin's ad hominem attacks on him. It's like, oh, so you'll debate Owen Benjamin, who goes on a verbal tirade against you about 10 million times worse than anything I ever said about you. You'll market it that way. And for people who never saw Brian and Owen Benjamin's debate, what's funny is they spent the first 10 minutes dissing me and my work. It's like, oh, look at this. These two guys who have tons of followers and subscribers, who neither of them will debate me. They'll both, and again, Owen Benjamin's talked plenty of shit about my work too over the years. But these guys, they're having their little powwow helping get more subscribers from each of their bases. And here's Brian, who all these years said he would never debate anybody who uses ad hominem attacks. But then, So I was like, Brian, are you a liar? I'd say, yeah, you're more proof you're a liar. More proof you're a liar. You said you wouldn't do that, but then you did it and we all know why. He has a huge following, and then there's a lot of money in his following. If I can get some of these Owen Benjamin guys, man, they throw around super chats like nothing. Again, that's not honest. You're like, Brian, you sit there and complain about politicians, but you're a lot like a politician. You act just like a politician. That's exactly how politicians roll. Exactly like you. And again, here's Brian. Brian's whole worldview hinges on this quote. And I encourage anybody, show me anywhere where there's any proof this was said. It doesn't mean it wasn't said. Maybe it was said. But I looked into the same quote a long time ago. I mean, people know about this quote for a long time. It's all over online. Brian's not the first one to say it. But I looked into this quote a long time ago, and I couldn't find any proof or any record of where it was said. Supposedly, a Rothschild banker said, give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. Brian brings it up in every video. This whole worldview hinges on this quote. Brian, where's the source of the quote? Where's the source? Where's the proof it was said anywhere? And again, even if it was said, is that proof that this is what's going on in the world and this is the family that runs everything, the same family that everybody knows their name in the conspiracy community? That should be one of the signs that that's not the case. Everybody knows the Rothschild name. Everybody. And what's that name mean? It means Red Shield, which is what the Templars had, the original bankers who served the Catholic Church. The Jesuits are the modern day Templars. Brian scoffed at the idea of Jesuits controlling things in the world in past while mocking me and my work. Brian, your whole worldview hinges on a quote that there's no proof was ever said that's also what, from the 1700s? Again, meanwhile, day after day, exactly what we're talking about is putting out. Yesterday's Fresh Morning Notes. Thunder should pick up the 125th win, 125 days from the coach's birthday. Bada bing, bada boom, they win with 125 points. 249 combined points just for the first game of the season while the country's 249 years old. That's called a script. From the basketball game to the baseball game to what's in the news today, tomorrow, every day. You learn this knowledge, you see how it's all by the numbers. Again, Freemasonry, what do they etch on the temple? All is number. Why is somebody like you who supposedly wants people to see through the political divide not talking about secret societies ever? Okay, I shouldn't say ever, but I mean almost never. And why are you ridiculing the idea that there's number rituals when there obviously is? What, you think it's a coincidence that 11 years to the day of 9/11, Papa Bush, who was the 11th director of the CIA, is talking about a new world order, a world freer of terrorism, and then his son's the president, and the buildings that look like an 11 come down in the 11th state, New York, after flight AA-11. What are these things? Just a coincidence? Okay, and another quote that a lot of you guys say, that there's also no proof it was ever said anywhere. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Supposedly William J. Casey said that. Where? There's no proof it was said anywhere. Everyone repeats these quotes, and there's no proof they were said anywhere. Way more people online looking for truth know these two quotes and regurgitate them all the time, and there's no proof they even happened. Why don't you know what we teach you about the CIA? Why it matters that CIA might as well stand for Catholics in Action. Why do you not understand the significance of it being founded on the 201st day of the Pope's age, when the words in their logo equal 201 and their motto equals 201, and how many rituals are performed around that 201 number, including the simulation for Cooties 19 right before the whole thing happened. Don't forget the Cooties 19 simulation happened the day the military world games began in Wuhan, China, which began in Italy, where the Vatican and the Jesuits are, in 95. Again, the Jesuits were created, counted the 95 Theses. But again, you start to see what's really going on. Why the first Jesuit popes living in Suite 201, why there's all these different 201 rituals throughout history, world-shaping events, 2 towers become 0 before they become 1, etc., etc. So yeah, it's just, yeah. Anyway, and the thing is about YouTube, they probably know that I'm more into politics and news, so I'm sure everyone's feeds are tailored a bit different. If you only come on here and watch children's cartoons, that's probably what shows up in your feed. The thing is, I watch the other Gematria channels too. People, pretty much everyone's learned from me and does their own thing, and almost nobody gives any credit, but that doesn't matter. But the point is, I don't ever see, when I log onto YouTube, other channels I watch that do Gematria. They're never in my feed. Even though I watch their channels, and obviously it's a topic I'm interested in, that doesn't show up. But almost anytime I do log on, here's what's in my feed. Liberty Hangout. Liberty Hangout. Why? Why is Liberty Hangout in my feed anytime I come on? Supposedly, I've been here getting taken down I'm on my 25th channel. Supposedly, I'm dangerous to the YouTube community, because that's what they always write when they delete the channel. We had to take down your channel because we're protecting our community. Okay. Why? Because, again, one of the times I was taken down all the way was when January 6th happened. Before January 6th happened, I showed how Jesuit Georgetown essentially simulated January 6th. Videos got lots of views. I put out 2 videos on it. They both combined got over 1 million views within about 24 hours. Whole channel deleted for hate speech. Or wait, maybe they took it down for medical misinformation. Either way, whatever they said, it was a joke. It's like, if it was medical misinformation, it was even more serious. Like, there's nothing medical about this. But again, I'm putting out information to show people to not get played by the news, by the political divide, by what's really going on. Again, for people who don't know about the Transition Integrity Project, and again, here, let me just pull up the gematria calculator. In the most simple cipher, you see how President Biden's 144, just like Jesuit order is. Again, big number with the Jesuits. Look it up, June 12th. Here, I'll just show you right now. Look it up, the Transition and Integrity Project that happened June 12th, 2020. The election that year was November 3rd, 2020, 144 days prior. The simulation was that Biden would narrowly win the election, Trump would refuse to step down saying he was cheated, and it would lead to a deadly altercation between Americans. Hello, January 6th. This was simulated by Jesuit Georgetown. What were we telling you about the 2024 election way before it happened? That it was going to be 144 days after Trump's birthday. Both Biden and Trump are Jesuit educated. Trump's reinstalled. What did I tell you the day that RFK filed his paperwork 144 days from the Superior General's birthday on April 5th, 2023? I told you they're foreshadowing political assassinations like 1968. RFK dead at 1:44 in the morning. MLK dead in a 1:44 ritual. Don't forget, MLK also died on the 95th day of the year, and he assumed the name Martin Luther after who wrote the 95 Theses, the Protestant Reformation leader. As my phone dings, somebody asking for a loan. And that's the thing, too. Like right now, I might be in trouble with my financial thing. The trolls are trying to get my financial revenue source taken down again. I got a write-up from the... I don't want to get into it right now, but anyway... Again, JFK died 144 days from meeting with the Pope. RFK dead at 1:44 in the morning. Lincoln shot on 14/4, who blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits. Again, the day RFK filed his paperwork, we said there will be assassination stories on the campaign trail. And I reminded people, November 5th, the day of the 2024 elections, the day in history that the Jesuits tried to kill King James. Remember the 5th of November, known as the Jesuit treason. And, of course, the first time around, Trump was doing all the 58 rituals for the 58th election, like King James died at age 58. And he had the convention in Cleveland where LeBron won the finals on the real King James's birthday, June 19th. Then this time around in 2024, Trump gets 58% of the Electoral College. And remember, Freemasonry equals 58, like secret society. And it's only for men. And both times Trump won, he beat women. Women aren't allowed in Freemasonry. Again, the conversation I had with the guy yesterday, I was filling him in on all these little details. And he was just like, wow. I said, yeah. And I said, even better, Kamala got 42% of the vote, and her name equals 42 in Gematria. And if you go back to 2019 on the 42nd day of the year, which was the anniversary of her mother's death, she was allowing people to question her blackness. And then I was teaching about how Jackie equals 42 and where that connects with black history. It's like, wow. That's how this knowledge should be to everybody. I mean, how isn't it wow? You learn this, you see the way the secret societies that are in charge, that have been warned about the whole time, that have their name stamped on everything in the capital city, you see how they're operating. And again, this comes from Kabbalah, a spiritual belief system that these secret societies are based in. All of this is perfectly logical and evidence-based, and not to mention Trump's even written about his Kabbalah teacher when he was younger in one of his many books he put out. But anyway, this is my point. I log on to YouTube, and this is the shit that's being promoted. Liberty Hangout. Has anyone watched this lady's videos? Why? I mean, listen, here, it shouldn't be about appearances, but we all know that people will check out cute girls. Is her name, what's her name? Caitlyn Bennett? Is she cute? No, not at all. Is she intelligent? No. Is she a troll? Absolutely. Is she respectful? She does the same thing that a lot of these people do. Somebody was talking about their religious beliefs, and she's like, well, I don't know anything about your religion. I mean, just like, God, I mean, that's just, a religion's just another thing that just drives me nuts. How many thousands of religions are there in the world? That's the point, thousands. How many people have researched any religion outside of the one they were born into? Almost nobody. You're talking about a really small group of people, but almost everybody as well does this. I shouldn't say almost everybody, because a lot of people do break out of their religion and what their parents, brought them up in. But maybe even more so as we go on in time. But so many people, they just don't look into anything else, and they just think what they came up in is the one true religion, and everything else is wrong and bad. And she's just another one of these people. just disrespect. If somebody else brings up some other spiritual viewpoint, and trust me, I will end up watching this shit because it's in my feed. I'm like, oh, okay, this had all the views. Let me see what am I doing wrong? Why am I not? And I start watching. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything wrong. I mean, when I'm out on the street dropping facts, making people stand still in New York City, video that should be viral, what happens? Oh, the video is taken down in an hour for misinformation. Again, when you guys missed our trip across the nation from Seattle to New York, gathering people and making crowds and making people stop and listen. All of that stuff got deleted. Don't even get me started on how they deleted the entire channel, not to mention they took down numerous videos along the way, but they deleted the whole channel 263 days after 9/11. And of course, I get into the talking point about why the 3 flights that hit targets add up to 263. It's not arbitrary. But anyway, this is the point. We're out doing something real, groundbreaking, what should be viral, what should have millions of views, but instead you have these political trolls going around just like trying to bait people. It's such trash, and it's actually dangerous to the YouTube community because it makes everyone dumber. This is what's actually dangerous, and these people are making tens of thousands of dollars a month in ad revenue, bringing nothing that's beneficial to any of us, but it is beneficial to the political divide system that they want. Caitlin Bennett, fat little ugly thing, dumb as rocks. Nobody should be watching. James Klug. Now, this guy is good at staying polite and keeping it, even keel. But, that quote about stats, how you can use stats to prove anything. And that's the thing. People on the left will stay in their group of stats. All these stats say why the left is better. People on the right, they got their group of stats. See, all my stats are better. Everything's way better over here on the right. Look at all my stats. Going out and saying, oh, well, I got this stat, I got this stat. I got this stat. Trump's better because of this stat. How about going around and teaching people about how this guy sacrificed his ex-wife in this 60 ritual, buried her on the 201st day of the year? How about his brother that died on the Jesuit order's birthday? How about his sister who recently died, who was a lawyer for Ronald Reagan, all in the lead up to this election? How about going around and sharing this information? Did you know about that? Did you know about that? Well, that's what I do. And we know what happens when you do that. Your video's deleted. Dangerous, hate speech, misinformation. Go around and play politics. See, my stats are better. Now we both know that, you're either born a boy or a girl. So what's your argument? And trust me, I'm in agreement. Okay. That's another thing they invented for us to fight over. So we're not, it's just, but this is what this guy goes around and does. And Newsmax is sharing his videos and stuff, and Newsmax has always been a right-wing trash news source. I mean, there's all these partisan news sources, but this always shows up in my feed. James Klug. And most of these things are clickbaity, too. I mean, he didn't really have much of a conversation with Antifa. If you guys missed my conversation with Antifa in front of Powell's Books in Portland when they had the bookstore shut down, and that was the national news story, it ended up with me getting bear sprayed in the face. But they were able to reopen Powell's Books because they all cleared out after they sprayed me with bear spray. But yeah, again, I had an interesting conversation with Antifa, and I was getting some of the young people there that aren't the leadership in Antifa. For people who don't know what's going on with Antifa, it is some kind of federal thing that police are told to stand down to on the West Coast to help build this police surveillance state, because they're saying, oh, things are so bad, we need a more national fortified police. This is all some game they're playing with us. Again, I have interviews with Portland and Seattle police where they're both saying the same thing. Take it up with your government and city council because we've been told to do nothing about Antifa. Again, it's not that the police couldn't do something about Antifa. They could clear it out in 5 seconds if they wanted to. It's because it's all part of this thing about federalizing the police. Again, Trump supporting Larry Ellison, who wants a surveillance state where everyone wears a camera. This is what's going on with this on the West Coast right now. By the way, I'm from Portland. I'm a West Coast guy. And that's what people aren't really talking about. That's what needs to be understood. How this is all some operation where the higher-ups are keeping the local police from doing anything about it to now justify, what Trump's doing with the National Guard and his federal police, et cetera, et cetera. That's the conversation that should be had. And if you actually go out to where Antifa is, you'll figure out who the leaders are in the group, because they're violent and they're vocal and they're threatening and they're carrying batons and things like bear spray, and they're screaming at you and get out of here or else, just like what was going on with me. But then there's younger people who come out there that are getting sucked in that think this is some kind of cool thing or maybe they should be vibing with. And that's what they were getting mad about. Because when I was out there talking to Antifa in Portland, the younger people who weren't the leadership were interested in what I was saying. But then you got the leaders, and you can't see who these people are because they're all masked up. But those are the kind of things that actually need to happen with Antifa. More people going out doing what I was doing, sharing real information and facts and getting them to think twice about things. And because I was saying, how are you guys anti-fascist? You guys are out here shutting down a bookstore. I said, that's the kind of things fascists would do. Fascism's always been this militaristic merger of government and corporation to just control all lanes of everything, including information. So, hey, if the bookstore is going out against us, of course we're burning that bookstore down. So how can you be an anti-fascist shutting down a bookstore? I mean, give me a break. This girl, Angela Rose. Now, she might be a little bit cuter than Caitlyn Bennett. And I shouldn't say things like this since I'm a married man, but maybe if I had 20 beers in me, I'll just stop there. Anyway, this girl, I mean, it's like, what are people watching? I mean, talk about knowing nothing about nothing, just going out as a man on the street in a mega hat, just sounding ignorant as hell, just trolling, just trying to get reactions out of people. This is safe for the platform, just going out being a total ass. Angela Rose, all ass with no ass. Anyway, I mean, I don't even have any more to say about it. It's just, this is what shows up in my feed, and I'm not watching these people. So I know they're promoting all of these people. And, you know, it's just like you'll see Fox News now in their smaller thumbnails, they'll have these YouTubers up there. So a part of me thinks that they're like somehow the under the table payroll for Fox News and going out and getting the clips for their nightly news and the Jesse Waters of the world showing the stuff that's happening out there. But no, it really annoys me how many times I've been deleted for putting nothing out but important information that actually could help the people of the world, where these people get rewarded for just going out and literally being asses. Just going out and being an ass. Adam Francisco, we had him on when he had about 5,000 subs. It was while Biden was in office. It's probably 3 years ago. And I was telling him, I said, yeah, he's a big Trump guy. He said he used to be a liberal. I said, and I explained to him, if you guys remember Adam Francisco, if you remember this guy, I explained to him, I said, well, you're going to get your way. It looks like they're reinstalling Trump in 2024. I asked him if he wanted to have a conversation about that around the time of the election. I said, do you remember what I told you, Adam, about how they're going to reinstall him? Maybe we should go back and talk about that. Doesn't want to. His channel's done very well now, just doing clickbaity stuff. He's gone from 5,000 subs to nearly 200,000. I mentioned about 2 months ago, if you're watching my stream, that CNN had a thumbnail with Adam Francisco up holding a big flag. It was a thing about right-wing YouTubers. But yeah, the thing about this guy is, if you watched his, I do watch him a little bit more than other people, just because I'm aware of who he is, and I met his cohort out on the street when I was pounding pavement in Buffalo. He wasn't actually there, but the girl he was working with at the time, which is how I even became aware of him. Somehow her channel hasn't gotten popular, which to me is amazing because she's actually attractive and she's intelligent, but she's also a little bit of a Trumper too, so I don't like that. But I'm amazed that her channel hasn't taken off. Her mistake was probably doing an interview with me. Anyway. This guy for a year's been out there going, oh, those libs, all they want to do is cancel people and control speech. You should see the videos this guy did after Charlie Kirk died. His videos where he was going out and telling people that we got to get everyone fired who's got anything bad to say about Charlie Kirk. I was just like, listen to this guy. Are you kidding me? For a year, you've been out there saying libs are cancel culture. All you want to do is cancel and control people. And then you're doing videos about how you got to get everyone fired who said anything about Charlie Kirk, which looked like a total HOAX. Loaded into an SUV, no crime scene. Immediately started disassembling the scene. The TPUSA employees, they paved over the spot. It synced up perfectly with Trump, which no doubt was a HOAX. But that's what I mean about political people. It's just, how can you have done what you did for a year and now you're doing it? God, what a joke. And then there's this kid who I mean, he's been working hard. I'll give him that. He looks like he went from age 20 a year ago to he looks like he's already older than me. Look at his latest thumbnail. It's like this kid has been outside and his face has changed a lot in a year, not for the better. But the thing about this kid is, who is he? He's invited to the White House all the time. he got that big Fox News exclusive story where he was the first person to go down to that South American prison. He was the first white person to go in the prison. It's like this 20-year-old kid from Utah who started out his show trying to be like a Jackass from MTV. Whose kid is this? So he got all that attention initially, and that's where I first heard about him too. He's on Fox News going to prison as a YouTuber, and I thought, okay. And now he's doing ride-alongs with ICE. He's at the White House. He's invited to the White House dinner the night of the election. Who is this kid? But then the thing about the kid is he doesn't know anything about anything. I mean, you listen to him, he doesn't know how to pronounce simple words. He did learn to speak Spanish on his Mormon mission down in Latin America. I'll give him that. He did learn to speak Spanish, but he was living there for a few years, so he probably should have. But he does not know so many simple words. He doesn't know so many simple ideas. He seems to have no attention span. And I can't tell if it's just him or if he's trained to do it, but anytime he actually gets somebody on the street who sounds like they know something, he like just takes the mic away and goes and starts talking to somebody else. It's just like unbelievable. And that's probably what he's trained to do. It's just like, oh, that's not fitting our agenda here. Trump wouldn't want that. Let's zip over to this person. It's just like, because I let his videos, I do actually watch his videos just because he'll spend 2 hours out there going from person to person. But I just noticed the same thing over and over. I actually don't watch his videos. It's more like I'm listening in the background while I'm working. But I've watched him go from about 100K subs in the past year up to nearly 1 million. And I will say he's worked for it. I mean, he's on the ground everywhere. And granted, he's been rewarded for it. When I went from coast to coast, from Seattle to New York, I got my channel demonetized and I got my financial contributions cut directly in half within 2 weeks. So, I mean, for me, when I go out, and the thing is, this might sound arrogant as hell. I've listened to probably, I don't even know, probably at least 100 hours of Nick Shirley videos in the last year, because a lot of his videos are 2 hours and I'll have him playing the whole time I'm working in the background. And I'm listening while I'm working. In those 100 hours, he's probably talked to 20 people who seem like intelligent, sharp people that had something meaningful to say. And I'll also say almost all of the people that I respected said were older black men. And again, I've always said the same thing. The people who know what's going on in this world are the people who've been around and had to deal with the bullshit in this system more than anyone. And out of those 20 people where I've heard at least 10 of those, he just like cut them off midway and went on to something else. I was like, God, man, is he not listening to what this man's saying? And how are you going to cut him off right now? And then he'll go talk to Joe Schmo, who's a total moron, and keep the mic there for 20 minutes. Like, good, this is what we need to listen to. But this kid, I mean, he's not intelligent. He has no attention span. He's also a bit of a troll. And it's just, I mean, this is what America's listening to. Like a kid with and I don't want to put down a high school education. Some people are brilliant in high school. I had a good set of, I knew a lot about what was going on when I was in high school. I could see that the 2000 election was a total steaming load of shit, that number 43 would be elected in the state where his brother was the governor, when they told us a whole month in advance it was going to come down to that state. And I wish we had the internet back then like we have now, because now you can see that Jeb Bush was the 43rd governor of Florida, like their daddy was the 43rd vice president. But yeah, I mean, I just hate how big tech works, how they're driving. Like, you're not going to get anything by watching Nick Shirley's channel, surely not from him. And again, like I said, I mean, I've listened to at least 100 hours of this guy's channel, and maybe an hour of that 100 hours there was actually worth listening to. And that's because he's out talking to the American people. And you guys can say this sounds arrogant or whatever. This nation is full of morons. The people that live here are mostly really dumb, ignorant people. And what they have to say doesn't mean jack shit. And that's also why the people who rule the nation would never allow anyone to vote on anything that would make any difference. They don't want dummies having any say in anything. That's why our whole elections are a sham. And again, the whole nation's controlled by, secret society types, very powerful, wealthy people that are interested in staying in power and making a lot of money off us, the tax cattle. All this stuff you see going on, all the supposed inflation, all this bullshit, it's all been contrived, and it benefits the people at the top and not us. Again, just like I talked to the man yesterday, I said, for people who hold real estate, inflation's not as big of a deal because your net worth and value goes up. And the man said, that's exactly right. That's why the rich who own all this stuff, they don't care when they create inflation. They're making all their assets worth more. Meanwhile, the person who has nothing Now they can't afford anything. They can't afford hardly food, heat, to put gas in their car. They surely can't afford hardly their rent. Don't even think about saving up money to buy a house. I can't even stay out of debt just working 2 slave jobs and trying to keep up with the daily bills. But again, yeah, it's just... And Brian, if you are out there, I mean, out of all these people I brought up, you are the most intelligent one, and you do have the most reasonable things to say. But the thing is, your whole worldview hinges on a quote from the 1700s that there's no proof was even said, and you've tried to downplay people like yours truly. And this might also sound arrogant, but I don't think anybody else in the last 12 years that I've been here who has a message even a fraction is worth as mine. And I think that's actually totally fair to say. Again, look at you. I'd say you're close to second place in terms of the people who've been on YouTube. And I mean, really, like, what do people get out of you besides the same quotes over and over? Every day I'm proving how the game is rigged. You choose to ignore it every day and instead collaborate with white supremacists, other people who bring up the same Rothschild quote. I mean, seriously. So that's why your face is up there with the liar thing, because I think it's fair. And see if you'll have a rebuttal again. It's been a minute since you've had anything to say about me calling you out, but I think you should address these points. Where's your proof of anything of this quote that it was ever said, the one that your whole worldview hinges on? Where's your proof? Because I offer proof every day for what I'm talking about. Every single day, my work is provable. Every day. Every day. Did you write a book about Cooties 19 that was proven 1,000,000% factually true? Because I know I got that book out in the middle of 2020, and I said they'll wind down their scam when the year of the tiger comes around, which is exactly what they did. So it was all based on understanding what 201 means and where it fit in with the year of the tiger and event 201. So I can explain why they... Oh, I forgot to make the point. I got to go back to the 2020 election. I forgot to make the point about Brian. I still remember what you said, Brian. And it was just laughable. I was like, this is why his information is inferior. Why is he not collaborating? Why isn't he trying to learn? Brian woke up and said, man, I went to bed last night and it looked like Trump won, and now somehow Biden's in the lead? I don't know. It looks like something fishy's going on to me. So you had to wait to wake up in the morning to figure out that something fishy was going on? I already had been telling people for over a year in advance why they were going to install Biden as number 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday as the nation's second Catholic president, when Catholic equals 46, and there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, and the first Catholic president was killed at 46. Brian wants to say this stuff's a coincidence, you guys. The first Catholic president was number 35, killed on I-35 in Dealey Plaza at age 46. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters. Israel created in a big Jesuit Catholic ritual on 14/5. The war in Israel, the one that's still going on, that's costing us a lot more money, began on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days from the Pope's birthday, and a whole lot more. I mean, why wouldn't you want to talk about that rather than, oh, I got another video, viral story. Let me say, listen, you guys, I got to make the point again. Rothschild said back in the 1700s, give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. Okay, again, no proof that was ever said by him, but who are the original bankers? Are they Zionist Jews? The two biggest banks in the U.S. aren't even Jewish. They both trace back to the Vatican. Bank of America, which started out as Bank of Italy. No, the original bankers are Templars, the military order of the Catholic Church. That's who the original bankers are. So, and Brian did grow up Catholic, so this is part of it too. If you listen to Brian talk, Brian will say he's not religious anymore, but then he'll start saying he knows what God is by quoting the Bible. So it's like, are you not religious anymore? Because whenever you talk about God, it all comes from what you learned as a Catholic. Sounds like you're still religious, even though you don't think you are. But also just that bias, growing up Catholic, he's tried to dismiss what I'm saying, and he wants to blame it all on Jews. Well, Brian, you were raised to worship a Jew. Jesus was from Judea. And there is a reason they're wearing small caps at the Vatican too. All this stuff's connected. But yeah, it's, people whose whole worldview hinges on quotes from the 1700s that there's no proof was even said. Is that what you want to go? Like if I'm trying to persuade the guy to see what I'm saying yesterday, and I'm Brian, what do I have other than, the same old Rothschild quote? Now, granted, Brian has more. He's good at pointing out the hypocrisy in the two political systems, and that's where I do like Brian. But it all comes back to the one fundamental quote that there's no proof was ever even said. So anyway, let me drop the link. I'm gonna take about a 30-second break here. If you would like to join the stream and contribute to the conversation, or maybe you're one of the people I'm calling out and you want to get in on the conversation, the link has been dropped. I'll drop it 2 times so you can't miss it. I'll be back in 30 seconds and we'll see who we got in the back. Sit tight. All right. We got one person in the back. Only one. Well, what's up, Pigo's Trading Desk? And shout out to Nathan. Thank you very much, Nathan.
Man, Zach, I've been trying to give you a super chat the whole time, dude. How you doing, man? Long time.
It's not letting you give the super chat. I've heard people say that before. Hey, it's the thought that counts. Thank you so much.
But we actually did an article based on your work with Gematria. We wrote it and we published it on our Substack. I wanted to send it to you because we talk about 88, 60, and 44 and everything tying with Trump and like dating it back all the way to like Jimmy Carter and all that good stuff and like the Rothschilds bailing out Trump, all this good stuff. It's all in the article. But yeah, man, just wanted to say thank you for what you do. And
thank you. Thank you for writing an article and sharing the work. I appreciate that.
If you want, I can send it to your email, but you have a shit ton of stuff. But yeah, dude.
I'll look for it if you send it right now. GematriaEffectNews@gmail.com. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you.
All right, take care. All right, we got Gematria32. What's up, Gematria32? Gematria32, you got to unmute yourself.
You hear me?
There you go.
Yeah, the chess player. I think he died 18 days from his birthday. Chess equals 18, and they announced it 22 days.
He also died 18 years after becoming the 12-year-old grand champion. For people who missed this story, let me. I'll just put it up here real quick. I was gonna do a video on it and I forgot to.
They announced it 22 days after, which is the 22 is a master number. Master equals 22.
So the day he died had 54 date numerology, October 19, 25. Chess equals 54th, the alphabetic order, 18 if you apply numerology. Again, he became the youngest chess grand champion at the time, 18 years ago in 2007. His name does equal 251, like Ritual Sacrifice, which is the 54th prime. He was big on Twitch, which equals 29, only to die at 29. The day he died had a lesser date numerology of 54. It had a full date numerology of 74. He was Jewish. Jewish equals 74 and 29, dead at 29. Masonic, 74 and 29. Of course, they call Masonry Judaism for the Gentile because it's based in Kabbalah. And the other thing about 74 is the tournament he won, it began in France in 74. And remember, International Chess Day comes out of France, and it's celebrated on the 201st day of the year. And, of course, 201 is the number of the Jesuits, the Illuminati. They're pretty much playing chess with us by this Kabbalistic code, and there's 64 spaces on the chessboard, just going with the whole Israel and Zion thing because he's dead while all this fiasco is going on in Israel. But
yeah, he had a November 9th birthday, like 119, like Aussie and and that's a big Jewish number.
Yeah. I realized that what I thought I was sharing on the screen is not showing up there. Why is that?
Yeah, but I want to get this out correctly though, because his birthday was November 9th. He died. Well, they're announcing his death today, which is 18 days later, like Zach said. But I think he died on the 19th, which is a span of 22 days from his birthday. And master equals 22. Master is 22 is a master number. So I just want to get that out correctly. And
All right.
there's something else too. There's more. There's a lot more. Hold up. Yeah, King Richard, he mentioned in the chat about Brian Gumble. I caught that yesterday. I didn't say nothing, but I caught it though. Brian Charles Gumble 80 on the day the NBA 80th season opens. You know, you follow? He's a sportscaster.
Yeah.
Yes, but his full name equals 80, and on the 80th NBA season, I thought that was connected to it. And about that, I want to talk about that the robbery in London, the Louvre. Well, the Louvre opened but it was robbed 70 days after the opening of the Louvre in history, and museum equals 70, just like Paris, France equals 70.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it happened a span of 64 days from Macron's birthday, and Macron equals 64.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, just by the numbers. And you know what's I wanted to say my favorite quote. Can I say my favorite quote?
But please.
My favorite quote, the realest quote I ever heard was the right amount of truth helps sell a good lie.
Say it again.
The right amount of truth helps sell a good lie.
Okay.
And
which is what? Not enough?
And well, and that's exactly what like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owen are doing right now. Whoever believes they are truth seekers, you are out of your fucking mind. Out of your mind. For real.
Yeah.
Like 20 years on CNN, MSNBC, and all those news networks, and all of a sudden people think Tucker Carlson is a fucking truth seeker. You serious?
Exactly. That's what's wrong with the whole truth community. It just shows you that people don't know anything about anything. I mean, Tucker Carlson's one of the biggest. We're sitting there with this Kabbalah bracelet on, his little red bracelet. One of the biggest plants in the media, from CNN to Fox, who dissed everybody who questioned 9/11 relentlessly on TV. It's sick. It is sick. I mean, people going to Tucker Carlson for the truth. I mean, that just shows you how dumb you are.
Yeah, and then when did Candace Owens become a fucking truth seeker?
Exactly.
Before or after she was on the Trump train? Like, you serious?
And like I always said, flat Earth's a psyop. Notice she had to do the flat Earth thing.
So that to tie in the quote, you know, the right amount of truth helps sell a good lie, and that's what they're doing. You know?
Sure. Okay, I hear it. All right. Thanks, appreciate it, Gematria 32.
Thanks.
And by the way, Pigo's Trading Desk, if you want to check out his article, the 88, 60, and 44 riddle. As much as people don't like numbers, you might want to work on a different title for that, or just even repost it under a different title and check out, because I see it's got one like. I mean, just the people, man, they don't like numbers. I have to subscribe to like it. I don't normally do Substack, but this is on Substack, Pigo's Trading Desk. Can I subscribe? I got to make an account. All right, I'll do that later. Here's what it looks like, you guys. Thank you very much, Pigo's Trading Desk. I saw the super chat as well. Thank you to the super chatters. Thank you, Nathan. Again, that's disambiguation. Shout out to Rick James. Shout out to Dale again, my always consistent, super reliable, generous people. Thank you again, Pigo's Trading Desk, for the 2 and the article. Sage Zero points out what they did to Bryant Gumbel. And yeah, if you go listen to the Bryant Gumbel coverage from the day of the towers coming down that look like 11s on the 11th in the 11th state, 11 years of the day, what Papa Bush said, you will hear him talking about bombs. Shout out to Chris. He said, I won 575 on Sunday, 559 on Monday, and 501.50 on Tuesday. Well done, Chris. That's the power of this knowledge, you guys. And I bet you didn't bet very much either. I bet you those were probably $20, $30 bets. So well done, Chris. I love to hear it. You're a good man. You deserve it. We got Logan in the building. What's up, Logan? Oh, hey, it's my favorite Logan. What's up,
that's
Logan?
Good to hear. How you doing, man?
Doing right.
I just wanted to quickly add to that because I don't know if we covered this on me and Austin's podcast. I think I might have touched on it, but obviously the Charlie Kirk assassination, and you touched on Nick Shirley. That kid has been thrusted into you just wait. He will be the new Charlie Kirk.
I think so. He's Mormon. I think he's part of, I did an article. I think he's going to be the ritual.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't live a long life either, following in his footsteps. But I don't know if you know this.
Think about it from the controller's standpoint. This kid literally wanted to be Jackass, right? He wanted to be Jackass. That's how he started. He was imitating what he saw on Jackass. You're the controllers. He's probably got some connected parent. Like, oh, you want to be a jackass? Here, we're going to use you. We're going to, and again, I don't know it must be little kids watching it, because is my analysis of him wrong? Is he not dumb? I mean, he's pretty dumb.
And what's even more interesting about that is, there's like a confidence you get with ignorance, but his confidence definitely feels more like he has people backing him. Like you can, he's able to go
to the White House. He's
exactly
in the room with Trump. He's at the boardroom table with Donald Trump. It's like, what the hell is this? Kid's like,
it's like your average person isn't going to have the cojones necessarily to go and do what he does, which draws so many views, which is such a draw for them.
I agree. That's what they also saw in him, that he's willing to go out and do it. He does have some balls. I saw that kid jump into the ocean in Iceland. That's a different set, right? And that might be. Does he not look like he aged 20 years this year?
I will agree. He does look a lot older than when he started, but I also think that, it's, the fame is a drug, and you're seeing that, he's got to do more and more. And it's like your willingness to do more and more and do crazier things. And it's just going to get even bigger and more until probably, unless he does live well into his 30s, where I see him, start to sit down and become more of a Charlie Kirk, figure. But with having to do with that, the day of the supposed assassination, did you know that Nick Shirley was a guest on the Charlie Kirk show, which was hosted by the producer?
Ooh, I did not know that.
So he was giving street interviews to like gang members and black people. And which, if you guys don't know about Charlie Kirk, like
the last thing he said about gang violence.
Yeah, exactly. But also 70% of his message ends up getting to black it's like 30% transgender or Republican Democrat. The other 70% is usually race based, having to do with, earning it your own way, that type of messaging. And they usually have like some guy who can't hold his own and he can't speak without getting emotional, being the debater against him. So he always looks right on college campuses. But anyway, so Nick Shirley is giving interviews, and like the one he gives like two interviews that are highlighted during the interview on the show, where he's interviewing people. I think it was in Chicago, and the last guy he interviews, he has a bullet lodged in his stomach. Think of that, a bullet lodged. They say that the bullet that shot Charlie Kirk stopped it. It had a Man of Steel neck, and it got lodged in his neck, which is like so crazy. And so he's like lifts up his shirt and he's like showing him, and Nick Shirley's like touching it and everything. And the guy's like, and so he asks him why'd you get shot? Why'd they shoot you? And he's like, man, just for being myself. And I don't know. It was just so ironic. But then also, this is on Twitter, and it was on Twitter. I don't have a Twitter account, but the day of, I was able to go onto Charlie Kirk's Twitter, and that's where it posted. This is before it happened. The show went live well before he was assassinated. So they say. And the producer, after that, because I didn't watch the whole show, I just saw the Nick Shirley segment and everything, but he was just all like, he was using like an ad break to promote him being on the college campus that day, and he was like, there's like sure to be fireworks today, so make sure you tune in. I just thought that was pretty funny, because that guy, it's like, man, you can tell that guy, I'm sure they're all in on it and everything like that, but like it's so obvious. I don't know if the Charlie Kirk show producer guy. He's had a whirlwind tour after all of this, and now he's like a much more, he's being thrust into like that conservative incumbent type of role, even though he was, just, very rarely featured beforehand. So it's like, these people are all going to make out like bandits on this and this and that. And that's the formula too. Sometimes it's just like a large controversy that can propel you further. And other times, someone's got to die. Or, be said that they died.
Exactly. Death is a moneymaker.
But yeah, look out for that Nick Shirley kid. And what's funny is too, it's like you highlighted him, and that was still at a pretty infancy stage of his career based on where he is now. From what the first time you highlighted him, I don't know if you remember that, you highlighted him like kind of off topic, kind of like you were going off today about the influences on the street. You mentioned him a few months ago, and quite a few months ago, but since then, I knew of him just barely at that point because he was being pushed in your feed. Very similar to what you're talking about. My YouTube makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. The things that are put in there. And yeah, that one blonde chick, she's in there all the time too. And it's just like, yeah, it's sad because what it all is, that people don't realize, is it's a pendulum swinging. So all the Republicans that seem so right now, or the conservatives, they like to be called, they're going to eat themselves just like the liberal side eat themselves. And, you have a bunch of people that there's issues you cannot possibly stand on for the rest of your life. If you're 19 now and you're yelling about transgender and letting your kids get their bodies blocked, just wait until you have a kid. And it's just like, wait until you're 30, 40 and your tune's going to switch. And that's what they do. They keep people in these like aisles until they have to like admit they're wrong. And it's just a part of their plan is everyone has to be culpable in it. Everybody they trick you into agreeing with it because they can't just force you to do things. And it's a lot easier when, it's a lot easier to have like a house slave, someone that is literally tricked into understanding that to go for your program. So, it's a lot easier to tell that person what to do rather than a bunch of people who want to revolt at that know they're slaves. Right. So you get so many people divided by by everything, the side of the aisle that they're on, their gender, every single possible thing.
Team. They're outside beating each other up in the parking lot over their favorite sports team. I mean, yeah.
And what's funny, you mentioned the sports team. My neighbor, who's a really cool guy. I haven't gone into too much depth about the things I know, just because he's been such a help with our new property. I have this like sprawling property now, and he lives right next door. So he's helped me like mow my lawn, and he's got all the farm equipment and stuff. So rather than I have to sprinkle it in where I can, because I don't want to just like sour it right off the bat.
Right. Well, and that's the way the world is too. And I mean, that's part of the reason a lot of people don't talk about things, because they need this to be working their life. They got to keep a roof over their head. They got to keep this relationship. I mean, that's the reality of life too. So.
And I really do not like that too. Like, people should be able to be straightforward, and you can still maintain rapport with everybody. But the way the world, and I think I could with this guy too. It's just, I haven't ruffled the feathers necessarily, but because he is on the more conservative side. The few times we've talked, it's always, Trump's come up, and it's for things that affect him because he's got kids in school and stuff like that. So it's like, but anyway, I went over there, I brought him some food, and he mentioned this is when the Mariners were up 2-0, and he was all like, what's funny is I hadn't like caught up with your work on it yet. I just, from my perspective, I could see the rug pull like long, well before, and having been a Mariners fan for a long part of my life. And he was just like, man, they're up 2-0, and just tell me, oh man, they're hitting home runs, this and that. And I'm just like, yeah, man. And I mentioned like 2001 as being the last time that the Mariners were really any good. And I don't know. It's just funny because I saw that falling apart, and just, the other day, I was just like, yep.
Look, if it went to Game 7, the Mariners manager was going to stay on 117 wins. Toronto equals 117. The series would end on the day leaving 72 days left in the year. Run it in reverse. Toronto 72. They stayed on 72 losses for the whole year on the day leaving 72 days left in the year. I said before the series began, Josh Naylor would hit 3 home runs. He hit his 3rd home run in the series by Game 6. He's from He's from Ontario. And what's hilarious is this is the 121st World Series. Again, the only team that equals 121 in the whole league is Blue Jays. And by the way, the NFL for their first this week right here, the World Series week, they're going to end the week with 121 games played because it's all scripted together. But the World Series was set on the 121st day of Josh Naylor's age, who's playing for Seattle, but who's from Ontario, who loses with a sour look on his face. And the camera went right to him at the end of the game. I just said, if only people knew, man. And by the way, that old guy who was sitting next to me in the lobby, we got into that too. He was just mind blowing. He was like, wow. He's like, I wonder if sports are rigged. I said, yeah, absolutely. I broke down the whole George Springer thing for him, why the Seahawks were playing on Monday night versus Houston in the 108th game of the season when Major League equals 108. Next week, there'll be 13 games, so we'll get to 121 games. But again, Monday Night Football, Seattle in prime time as Seattle gets eliminated from baseball on the bat of George Springer, who pretty much played his whole career for Houston. Not to mention Houston equals 31. Seahawks got their 31st win on Monday Night Football, and the score was 3-1 when George Springer stepped into the plate and hit the bomb to make it 4-3. Like Mariners equals 43, so does Ontario, so does Astros, where he came from. So again, it's just perfect scripts, and I wish more people would have these conversations. That say, "Oh man, this guy thinks baseball games are rigged." Yeah, I've been proving my point in spades. I have articles written about me that are almost a decade old now, and we've hit how many futures? We just added another one this year because the Blue Jays were the first team we circled to be in the 121st World Series. So anyway,
No, I mean, yeah, it's crazy because my first real soiree into and I'll say this, me and Austin, we take a look at NASCAR and everything, and it's pretty crazy that everything is I mean, I say it's pretty crazy. I've known this for a while, ever since I've known your work, but it really is. Everything is synced up together, and it all has to do with programming the average person and just any form of entertainment. That's what the end goal is to get people on the relative same page. What was that?
Logan, do you want to hang around for a minute? Because I want to talk to you more and promote your show, but just to let the other few people waiting in the back get on here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Back to you. Is that cool?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'd like to promote your podcast too.
I'd appreciate
Logan's got a good podcast that more people should be listening to. So we'll be right back with Logan. If you guys don't know Logan, he pounded pavement with me in Portland for pretty much 9 hours about a year ago. We got to do that again. But yeah, we'll be right back with Logan. Let me get Jose in here, Colin LL, and Rich, and then we'll come back to Logan. What's up, Jose?
This is amazing to me. English is not my first language, but
You sound great.
Thank you. I actually lived in America for about 4 years, in Minneapolis, and to me this is amazing. I mean, honestly, we're being killed by the gods. This is just a fact. This is a human form. This is what I think I can say that can help at all. And thank you for all the help that I have received. This is just unbelievable. This is amazing for me. All right. So the only people I listen to nowadays, I've researched so much information throughout my whole life. And the only people I actually listen to nowadays is you, Zachary, which I honestly think you're a genius with this whole math, gematria stuff. This is unbelievable. I mean, this information should be known by all the people. These people, the people need to know this to survive the killing. Thomas, and the other people I listen to is La Quinta Columna. They are the top guys. I used to listen to Alex Jones, Mike Adams, all the top people, Tucker, the whole deal. But honestly, nowadays, the only people that actually know what they're talking about are Zachary, Hubbard, and La Quinta Columna. And the only reason I say this is to help people because since the pandemic, at least here in my country, life is impossible. They're killing people every single day. The criminals took over, and we know the mafia is Illuminati. We know they're killing us on purpose, and this whole thing in the human form, the human civilization, the whole thing is fake. Means there have been so many resets here that is unbelievable. And the gods, they're just insane psychopaths, killers, that they enjoy killing us, and they want to kill us for they need to kill us for some reason, but they're having fun while they only kill and kill and kill and kill. Okay,
Can I ask you a
so
question real quick? When you
absolutely,
say the
yes.
gods, are you talking about like, all right, what most of our idea of gods are, the
Yeah.
in the greater realm, if you will? Are you talking about people on Earth that are playing God?
I'm talking about the first of all, this is amazing for me. Thank you, really, for everything. And to answer your question, simply what I mean is these gods, all the religions, the Jews, Jehovah, all the gods, the gods from Rome, ancient Greek, Mesopotamia, Babylon, all these fucking gods. Excuse my language.
Sure.
They are actually demons. They're fallen angels. They need human sacrifice. That's what I really was referring to. Please excuse me. But many people here on Earth are very evil, and they actually are the ones who are executing all these evil stuff, all the killing, all the nonsense, and many of these people are actually being possessed by these fucking demons, these fallen angels that are actually uh, they control all the kings, all the queens throughout history. In ancient Egypt, all they basically. I mean, we're living a totally unfair existence, and this is totally unbelievable. But I do believe many people can actually save themselves thanks to information, this amazing information like yours, for instance, Zachary. This is amazing for me, really, and I will highly recommend people to research La Quinta Columna. They
Can you
are
do
the
me a
top
favor?
guys beyond.
Do you know
Yeah,
how to use
go ahead.
Do you know how to use the private chat on here?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you
Before
very
you
much. Yes.
leave, can you, when you're done talking and I put you in the back, you won't be out. Can you get the link for their channel and put it there, and I'll be sure to share it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
And thank you so much. Yes. I was only mentioning these guys because they are the only guys in the resistance nowadays. Tucker Carlson, all these bullshit guys, they don't know shit. They don't know anything. But only you actually know, and really thank you for all. This is amazing. But these guys from La Quinta Columna, just to finish up with that information to help people, that's the only intention here. These guys from La Quinta Columna, they are actually proving that the whole 666 AI technology is a cover up for these fucking demons to actually possess all human civilization on a massive scale. And if you have the 666, if you have the AI, if you have the um, universal income, basic income, if you have all the satanic stuff that they want you to uh, they want to force everybody to accept this technology so that they can be taken advantage of in a very very bad way by these fucking demons that have been here all throughout human history. uh, all these resets that keep happening here is because of them. They need to feed off the human form, so they're killing. They just kill, and they're just fucking killing us. But now with these AI, with 666, the prophecy, what they want to do is they want to. If you take the 666, you'll be. These demons are gonna take over you. These demons are all over the place nowadays, and La Quinta Columna is showing how they are manifesting already in our society. They are here. They came. They came to fucking kill us, and they want to fucking they to kill us and to demonically possess us, to have to take to have to do a lot of evil, very unfairly to all of us humans. And that's all I gotta say, really. Thank you so much for everything, Zach.
I find this very interesting. Please do share the link. I'll share it with everybody. And just what he's talking about, remember, you guys, in the Sumerian cipher, both computer and internet equals 666. And, you know, one of the biggest marketed people to children is Mr. Beast. In that same cipher, the way he spells it, Mr. Beast is 666. And they gave us the ritual on New Year's Day that he got engaged to the author of the marked children, like the mark of the beast, 666 in the Bible. It's funny. My wife's family was just visiting us, and the husband of her sister, who was out here, is a minister, and the children were watching a lot of Mr. Beast. And then finally, I said to my wife, I said, you know, it's interesting that he's a minister, and his children are sitting here watching Mr. Beast all the time. And then so I was explaining to her, because I don't always talk to my wife about gematria, but I showed her the 666 thing out where she's like, oh my God, they need to know this. So she went out, and because I didn't talk to her family about gematria, and they understand their English is limited, but they got so into this, and then they're like, no more Mr. Beast. That's not going to be on here anymore, because they understood right away. And I said, you know, most of the stuff he's doing is trivial and doesn't seem evil, but it's the little subtle things they do and the ideas they try to promote. But again, you guys, there is, as we know, the first Cooties 19 simulation was 666 days before they declared the pandemic, and they used the internet and the computers for surveillance and tracking and to get everybody to submit to this thing. And we know VACCINATION. We know that it has the 666 in the Sumerian cipher. And you think about Apple, who priced their first consumer computer at $666.66. They got the bite out of the fruit, like from Genesis, the forbidden fruit, and Genesis is 666 in that cipher. Again, the 666 thing is definitely real. But yeah, I'll share the channel for everyone who's interested in what he's talking about. So if you can please get that to us, I appreciate you coming on, Jose. And by the way, are you a Trump guy?
Thank you. I am, but I know the whole thing is fake. I know we're getting killed, and thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate all your help throughout all these years. This is amazing for me. Thank you so much.
All right, Jose. Well, thanks for coming on and sharing the interesting ideas, and I think there's definitely a lot of merit to them. And sometimes we'll have to talk about the Trump thing, because remember, he is running on the highest degree of the Church of Satan. But I do appreciate it, Jose.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. I'll definitely share the links. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Take care. All right, we got Colin, then Richard, then Supreme Power, and then we're going back to Logan. And I got to have Logan share a little bit more with us, including his podcast. What's up, Colin?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, I was just trying to get in contact with you because I've been emailing you, but I don't know if you've been seeing it or not. But I've been trying to figure out.
I'm really bad at keeping up with my email. I apologize.
No problem. I've been just trying to figure out if you do like any personal teachings on how to do gematria, or is it only is that on your $20 tier where like someone can get like a personal, maybe just like 30 minutes to an hour to be able, because I've done like I've went to college and all of that, but this information to me is a lot more valuable, and I've been trying to figure out how I could
You know what? Tomorrow, can you call in tomorrow at this time? Actually, God, no, tomorrow's not going to work. Friday at this time?
Friday at this time?
I'll do a beginner gematria stream Friday. That's what we're going to do. Beginner gematria. People can call in and ask questions just like you. I'll teach it from the ground up. I used to see, that's the thing. I mean, they deleted my channel so many times. At my first channel, I was sure to have introductory videos, and they were the top pinned ones. And after getting deleted 20 sometimes, I just gave up, because I was like, I don't even know if my channel is going to last a week. I'm going to stop doing all this. But yeah, we'll do a beginner gematria stream Friday.
Okay. And I've been watching your show for a little while now, so I understand some of it, but I was trying to see like, because to be honest, like I feel like you're like one of the only people that know the information to the level you know it, and I want to be a person who knows it on that level and can give these examples out when I'm talking to people. And I really want to know like on like how you even learned all this information, or what books to read and where to start, because I feel like the community only relies on you, but anything can happen in this world. I don't want to just only be able to rely on you.
Exactly. I have made my ebooks free to download. My first book, Letters and Numbers, you read the first 100 pages. There's a lot of good beginner information there.
Yeah, I got that book. The first, I think it's
okay. But we'll do the stream on Friday. I'll start it at about the same time. It'll start pretty close to 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern, and we'll go until 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, because that's when I got to get my daughter. So we'll do a 2.5 hour. If I can start it early, I'll start a little bit early, but that should be the beginner stream, and maybe we'll do more of them too if it's not enough. So
Okay. And on your Patreon, are people able to like message you personally about things?
they are,
Or-
but I don't respond to anything, and it's not that I don't care about you guys. It's just that I get so many messages. I just don't have enough time. I can't even keep up with the basic things I want to do. So
Right.
I've never given anybody private lessons. I'd rather just do it as a free open stream for people. I don't want to charge people for one-on-one gematria teaching.
Got it. Okay. All right. No problem.
All right. Appreciate it, Colin. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
We got King Richard, one of the best decoders in the world. What's up, Richard?
Yo, what's up, Zach? Hey, I figured I'd share about the Bryant Gumbo thing. I just finished a post on it. Worked hard on it right now. Just got done with it. Yeah, Gematria32 pointed out that his full name does equal 80. So does the name Bryant. And when you think
Just in
about
time for the 80th NBA season, huh?
Right. But when you think about Bryant, you think about Kobe Bryant, right? Kobe Bryant.
Bryant does equal 80, doesn't it?
Yep, 80. And his brother died by the numbers last year. I don't know if you covered his death. Greg Gumbel, his brother died.
Yeah,
by
that was for New Orleans, where they're from, because the Super Bowl's in New Orleans. He was one of the many New Orleans related
deaths. You
deaths.
recall what happened at the beginning of the year, right? The car crash in New Orleans.
Right, before the football game, where shootings followed Georgia all throughout the season.
Yeah, right. So, also, just noticed the box score yesterday for the LA and Warriors game. It was 119-109, and yesterday was BB's birthday.
That was what we talked about on Patreon. You guys, BB graduated from school in Philadelphia, where the Warriors are from, in 1967. That year, the championship was the 76ers versus the Warriors. The Warriors are originally from Philly.
They have the 80 connection, right?
Well, how many points did they score yesterday?
228.
For BB's birthday, how about 119 points?
Yeah,
for the
Warriors. 228 combined, right? 228 combined.
Yeah.
But
and again, Los Angeles puts up 109. So.
But I mean, you gotta look at TMZ's reporting of it. They got to get a picture from September 11th, 2017, as he's 77 years old, going with Israel being 77. You know about the Flight 77 ritual, of course.
Yeah.
But just mockery. I see you covered the death of the chess player. I don't know if you covered it, but he did die. His name in Gematria literally sums to 73. He died on October 19th, the day leaving 73 days after the name Daniel Naroditsky, 73.
Perfect.
But his surname, just his surname alone is 46 and 62, like sacrifice. And like Mason. And when you think about international chess, you think about the Masons and the chess player, right? Chessboard, Masonic chessboard. He died 21 days. He died 21 days before his birthday. 73 is the 21st prime number. Jesuit Sunday, Saturn, they're 21. He died on a Sunday. And what's funny is he died a span of 92 days from International Chess Day this year, a reflection of 29. But in the most pure cipher, International Chess Day sums to 92.
Perfect.
So, yeah. And they also paid tribute. I don't know. Did you watch did you happen to catch the Broncos and Giants game? They paid tribute to Demaryius Thomas.
And then a crazy game, and 33-32, New York 33, Denver 32. Our Sunday would have been crushed if the Giants had won that game, because we thought there was no way the Giants were winning.
Yeah, Broncos is 32, like Denver, like America, like Helios, like Templar, like Christ. Christ is 32. What's funny is, remember, his death was synced up with Super Bowl 33, right? Demaryius Thomas.
The Broncos, did the Broncos win Super Bowl 32 and 33?
Yeah. No, I think no. Oh yeah. You're right.
Yeah, they did. They won them both. Those were the John Elway days. Remember, John Elway had the weird death ritual on the Church of Satan's 59th birthday this year, shortly after Super Bowl 59. So Broncos did win 33 and 32.
65 combined points. Demaryius Thomas 65, like Knights Templar, like Christianity.
Yeah,
and he's born on Jesus' birthday, supposedly, as they tell us. But Peyton Manning was paying tribute, right? And they both played together in Super Bowl 50, right? Demaryius Thomas and And Peyton
In
Manning,
San Francisco, where the Super Bowl is this year.
Yeah, and that was the Black Panther Bowl.
Correct.
And their jersey numbers, right? 18 and 88. What's 18 plus 88? It's 106. Here we are on the 106th NFL season.
Yeah, good one.
But Demaryius Thomas, he died a span of 106 days before his birthday, Peyton Manning's birthday. So just what are the odds of all that? Paying tribute to him. And then you also had the death of the Boise State Broncos, not the Denver Broncos, but the other Broncos team, died the day before.
Doug Martin.
Yep, Doug Martin. And you know what? I was watching your live stream you did on that. You were talking about 415, how it's the 115th minute of the day? That's also the area code for San Francisco.
Well, it was 1:15 local time where he died, but you're right. 415 is the San Francisco area code. Because I was like, why are they reporting Eastern Standard Time when he's dead in Oakland?
Yeah, exactly. And I've been to Oakland, man, and just seeing that, like, the cops, again, there's a lot of crooked cops everywhere, but Oakland has the exception. Like, there's a bunch of them out there, man. Like, they don't care about anything going on out there. You know what I mean?
Remember how they killed Too Short's got that Blow the Whistle song that's the anthem in Philly. His brother's dead at 61 right before Philadelphia, which equals 61, wins the Super Bowl and gives Andy Reid his 61st loss with the Chiefs.
Wasn't there a 38 ritual with him too, with his brother dying?
I got to go back, but I just remember how it was right before the Super Bowl that Philly won.
Yeah, and then another thing, a lot of us talking about Kobe Bryant. Did you know that 24 years to the day of the Lakers winning their championship, Kobe, he didn't start this preseason game. If you look it up, it says October 16th, 1996, but his first ever preseason game was supposedly going to start on October 11th, 1996, but he didn't play due to a hand injury. So it was 24 years. Got to get him out there on the 113
date. Got to get him out there on 113.
But yeah, and that was a span of 24 days too before he made his debut in the NBA. Span of 24 days.
Dead 24 years later.
Yeah, and then you just had the crash there, the helicopter crash on the 5-year anniversary of the Lakers winning their NBA final championship. I mean, just a joke, man. And when you write out 5 at 66, like LeBron and like Lakers, it's like, come on, man. 66 date numerology. Mm-hmm. When you write out, well, I think if you write out 33, it's 66, right? 33. If you write out 33,
it does equal 66 if you spell it out as a word.
Yeah. So. Yeah, there's probably more than I'm not even looking at, but yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot, Rich. Great decoding as always.
Yeah,
I appreciate it,
man. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right, I got to get Logan back on here. Real quick, Supreme Power, Darren. Then I got to get Logan, and then I probably got to go get my daughter. Supreme Power, what's up?
Yo. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Man, Zach, I just want to say I appreciate your work, man. You've been doing this for a while. I've been like kind of watching you in the back for some years. I think I first came across you when you did like the XXX Tentacion or Nipsey Hussle, one of those. And I was like, wow, this stuff is crazy. But I really just had a couple questions for you. And I want to say, man, your memory of history is just impeccable, bro. Like, you to go for real, man.
Nipsey Hussle. If you came here during Nipsey Hussle, do you remember what happened to my first 2 live streams on his death?
No, what happened?
They both got hacked and porn was on the screen, and then I got in trouble.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to be doing something truthful when you keep getting deleted. Like I told some of my people, I'm like, man, I never heard of a YouTuber getting deleted as many times as this dude, man. Like, that's how I know you really be bringing the truth. But I just had a few questions. I was watching a video about D'Angelo the other day, and you asked the question when you was going through the song Devil's Pie. You asked what was he talking about when he said 85, dumb and blind.
Right.
D'Angelo, have you ever heard of the 5%ers or the 5% Nation?
Yeah. Lord Jamar's a 5%er.
We call him Fraud Jamar, but anyway.
The one thing I got to give him credit for is he did shout out my book back in 2020.
Yeah, he did. But he's a nutcase. Like
he's gone the whole Trump way too.
He went flat earth, all kind of stuff. But anyway, so D'Angelo was associated with the 5% as well. A lot of those soul artists and all of the golden era hip hop, boom bap, rap, all of those people are kind of associated with the 5% culture because it was so prominent and dominant in New York at that time. And yeah, I just wanted to put that out. I didn't. You speak like a 5%er, man. Like I just got to tell you.
Help me
like,
understand it though. So, okay, 5%ers, and then the 85 is obviously not them. And then what's the other 10%? How's this work?
Okay, so the 85% is the slaves to mental debt and power, people who worship that what they know not of, poisonous animal eaters and things like that. People who don't know their origin in this world. The 10% are the rich slave makers of the poor, who teach the poor lies to believe that the almighty, true and living God is a spook that cannot be seen by the physical eye. At least is how we teach it.
Okay.
Because we teach that God is within. We don't believe in a external God or external devil, none of that type of stuff. And the 5%, we the poor righteous teachers, meaning we teach the poor people, meaning poor mentally, the righteously, teach them the right way. We do not believe in the teachings of the 10%. You know, we don't believe in all of these lies that's being put out over the hundreds of years and things like that. So it's pretty much like the 5% of the freedom, the independent thinkers, the freedom teachers, like you say, truth seekers and things like that. That's what that's about. So it's a general thing, but it's also a specific thing. Like if you go to, I don't know, a library or something, you know, about 85% of those people are on some typical stuff, 10% are on some, you know, controlled capitalistic type thing. And, you know, you'll have that smaller group. It's always like that. So that's what that's about. And I just wanted to know if you knew about it and what you did. I think because everything you teach aligns with that, you know, like you also had asked like why you was wondering like why are black people more targeted. And I believe that because they know the truth about, now I'm not one of those, I believe people are created equal. However, like biologically black people, from my research, and this is no racist thing or nothing like that, history goes back, everybody knows Africa, Eve, DNA and all that stuff. So I don't know what the conspiracy is, but I mean maybe that has something to do with it. I mean, because we can't just brush it off the coincidental. And I
There's
watched the
definitely
channel.
something to it. I mean, if I'm out speaking on the street, odds are the first person who's going to stop and talk to me is a black person. It's almost always the case. I remember when I went out there for my birthday, because it's the anniversary of the Jesuit suppression, ironically, the day I'm born. I went out there when COVID was going on. I was out there talking in Seattle for hours. Only one person stopped talking that day, and he talked for a long time. Older black man. Yeah, it's just like when I've been places and I hear people talking about things. I could be at a bus stop, airport, you know, the intriguing conversations about real stuff are usually by black people. And again, I think it's because they've had to live under the tyranny of this system. They're more awake to it. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, I see the same thing in my own reality.
that's pretty much what it is. I mean, you know, when you were, like you say, when you're a victim of it, like of course you're going to see it. You know, you're going to see it from that when you're reaping the benefits of it, even if you don't know directly that you're reaping the benefits. It's like, I don't have an issue. I'm good. I'm eating good. You know, like what's the problem? You know, so you won't see the issues and the problems. Let me see, I had a couple of notes, but like I just wanted to put out that 666 that represents carbon as well.
Right.
You knew that, right?
Right.
And
Yeah, that's
you know,
the element.
carbon is black, like black people. So that symbolically represents black people. So that's, they try to say that like black people, the mark of the beast and stuff like that. 666 also represents just human
It's the
nature.
number of a man. People, that's the other part of the verse. Is the number of a man who's created on the sixth day in the Bible, and God regrets making mankind in Genesis 6:6. There's this whole attachment to six in humanity throughout the Bible. 66 books in Protestant Bibles. Yeah, it's the number of a man and the number of a beast, and it's like they're trying to put the beast in man's the way I see it.
And the black band though, and particularly, mostly, that's what I see.
Are you saying like how the entertainment world uses black men to put out
Yep,
negative
and
things?
just the whole media world period. You know, I'm a black man if you haven't noticed, but
I
like,
noticed.
yeah, he said, but like everything, like it's sad because like no matter how good you are, like as a black man, like everything we see is negative towards us and about us. Like every single thing, no matter what it is, like no matter what. So it's just sad for real, and it's not true, in most cases. Like a lot of this stuff is simply just not true. Now, yeah, you have all people of all races that does, bad things. Um, yeah, so I wanted to put that out. I had just took down a couple notes. It's good talking to you, man. You like a fucking celebrity. Like I put so many people on you, bro. Like I don't know anybody else who's keeping it as real as you are and teaching it straight, simple, plain, and your knowledge about history and just current events and like how the hell you remember all this stuff too. I always think about that. Like I know
I
you've been
forget
doing
more
it.
than I remember. It's just the same. I talk about certain things all the time because I think they're good examples, so they stay in my mind that way. And again, I'm
Okay.
behind the scenes trying to finish a book and writing about stuff all the time. I mean, that's how it stays there because I'm using it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And the last thing I want to say, like me personally, I don't use the gematria part as much when I'm talking to, like, I would say 85, the regular people, because they get all spooked out with the numbers and all that. And what I look at is like the synchronicities and history and things like that that's like more undeniable outside of the number. So I would
Correct.
suggest you go more that way too. Not to say to
I do the same thing in person for the record. It's like yesterday I was having a conversation. I didn't bring
Right.
Gematria up until about an hour into giving this guy examples about just things that are like, again, Obama joking with Trump that he's going to be 45 on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, 45 days before Trump's birthday. That's enough to cement the point right there. An hour later in the conversation, I brought it back. Now look at where Berlin Wall fits in and why they called him president-elect on this day in 2016. He's like, whoa. So, but we had to get there first.
Yeah. And I just want the last part. A lot of the people in the music industry, like, they are okay with this stuff. Like, honestly, like they play innocent, like they don't know. But this is just something that I was reading. But like people like D'Angelo, Angie Stone, Erica, but a lot of those people, they are into that. Not to say that, African spiritual systems is like demonic or evil, but they do deal with summoning spirits and things like that. And I'm not into that stuff or whatever, the voodoo and voodoo and all that. But they do deal with that stuff, and I don't know, like, these occultic people, how much they are into it, but I do know Hollywood is the most magical tree, the holly tree.
Right. Exactly.
And
Look at what they're doing with Trump and tarot cards. I mean, they're into it.
yeah, like it all goes together. So it's like a lot of these people are not innocent too. Like look at the rappers and the, Trippy Red. He got upside down crosses and like they got 666. Like even Juice World, he used to say 999, but we know that that's 666 upside down. And I'm not trying to call these people out and stuff like that, but they do be doing things secretly behind closed doors. Like even like Nipsey Hussle, great dude, from far as being a teacher and an educator and teaching people about righteousness and things like that. But like he was at the Rock Nation brunch that same year when he was killed and when he was nominated for a Grammy with Jay-Z and all of them. So he's in that circle. To me, I just feel like they just get in it and they playing like Russian roulette, and it's like with their life.
Yeah,
and they just
I'd say that's exactly what it is. And again, just from a biblical standpoint, again, Satan tempts Jesus with all the riches of the world, and you kind of see that's how it is. It's like you give into the evil, just like Bob Dylan said to Ed Bradley on 60 Minutes. Listen, you want to make it in show business, you got to sell your soul to the chief commander of this world. And Ed Bradley says, "Who's the chief commander?" And they both laugh about it. Pretty obvious what they're talking about. So
yeah, but I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. Thanks for taking the call. Like, keep it up, man. Like you're doing a great job. And of course, like people is always remember it's 85% dumb, deaf, and blind, man. Like, we was all made dumb, deaf, and blind as babies. Meaning like we was poisoned with the propaganda from, just as babies. So like some people just don't make it out. Like I was in a church at one time. It's actually a Christian man who introduced me to the 5% unmistakably. I mean, mistakenly. I was like, what the hell is a 5%? And it related to me because, you know, I was in a church and I didn't want to hear about white Jesus, white, you know, like it was weird for me as a black boy or man. And I always thought that was weird. Like every other race of people, their God looks like them.
Right.
And
Well, and really, I mean, that's why it's crazy too. It's like, well, the one physical description there in the Bible sure doesn't look
right.
like Jesus everywhere.
He was dark or black and things like that. But that's all allegory and stuff like that to me. I don't believe anything in the Bible. None of those people were real. It's stories and parables and things like that, meant to be interpret. I was just reading about how, like, in Judaism or Jesuit, whatever, they have like 4 layers of knowledge. It's like it was intentionally created like that. Xavier Ignatius, or whatever his name is, who created it, he made like this educational style, like, layer knowledge. It was called Ratio Studiorum.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Peeling back the onion.
Yeah. So it's 4 layers, and you know, like the first layer is layered and structural education and spiritual reflection, occultic, hidden magic. Where is it? But it's 4 layers, and the last layer is like the mystical, you know, layer of it. Because I was just doing some research on ChatGPT, and I'm like, why? I'm like, why are you defending? It's almost like you're defending, like, oh no, they're not a cult. I'm like, why are you defending? They're like, well, I'm not defending them. I just can't put out things that's not been proven, you know, and stuff like that. But when you go to it and ask them specific questions, they like, well, yeah, I had to say that first. And so it's like even the AI is programmed to like kind of like bullshit.
Absolutely.
You know? But it does put the knowledge out there too. You just have to know how to ask it. And it will tell you, okay, yeah, you caught me. You know, like, I'm like, this shit is crazy, but keep it up, man. Like the other guy was asking, like, I feel like the people who watch your channel, like, we want to help. Like what can we do? Like, you know, like, I know you have a lot going on, but like, give us something to do. Like, you know, like, people want to help get this word out, and like, whatever we could do. I'm sure a lot of people feel like that, because like some of this shit, man, it's just like, how can you deny this? Like certain things. But that's pretty much it, man.
I appreciate that. Maybe I'll have to start a weekly show where we come in and hear people share ideas and link up and get together and do something more. I've been running that website for a long time that has the ability where you can share as much information you want, but it does show who's in your region if you want to connect and do things. I mean, that was an idea I was promoting a while back, but we'll talk about that too, perhaps as well on this Friday introductory show I'm going to do for the other gentlemen. I appreciate the call a lot. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right, take care.
Peace.
All right, let me get back to Logan here. Logan, I'm sorry I had you in the back for so long.
No worries.
Whatever else you want to share, and then we definitely got to promote your podcast.
As far as things I want to share, I do want to start with, you mentioned that you're, a lot harsher, obviously on your channel, which, I think that edge does help the average viewer who loves, seems addicted to controversy and things of that nature. But having met you, and also you extending out even more graciousness with this here microphone that I use, that I love, which has been a huge upgrade up until I got this, which was a huge boon as well. Just, starting the podcast with Austin over a year ago now. Cause I was on the $15 like everything train of, my mic was trash. The mic arm was trash. And it's not like I'm destitute or anything. It's just like when it comes to doing like stuff extra, I try to keep my financials in order. So, it felt very extra, as much as I wanted to make it a routine and everything, which it has been for, every week now for over a year. But yeah, I just want to say another thank you for the microphone, because, that was
well, you're very welcome, and it's well deserved, and I'm glad you put it to use, because I know I gave 4 people mics, and 2 people, they both haven't hardly done anything, and I know one person, a lot's come up in their life, and I'm sorry for that person. Actually, I think maybe both of them, But the fourth person I gave it to, I haven't seen them do a single thing. And I'm just thinking, actually, hold on. I gave 5 people mics. You're the only one who's put it to good use. So thank you, Logan.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say like it was also pretty much it kind of put the coals to me as well, because I was like, well, shit. Now I got this expensive, nice microphone. It's like that was, gifted to me because, I didn't even win the contest there. So it was really gracious of you to do that, what you did. And so it's like, that just gave me greater purpose and a necessity to put my voice behind it. Because
you've done a great job. I wish your show had better ratings, but hey, there's still the future and it can get a lot better ratings. You guys, Logan and Austin are doing a great show. Let's get the show up there. Where can people find it on YouTube again?
Oh, it's I can share the link here, but it's Unscripted Truth TV. Let me go here. I should have been more prepared.
I know.
I know Rick James shared the link.
I'll put it up here so people can see. This is what it looks like, you guys. UTTV. If you search for it, I don't know if it's going to come up for you. It comes up for me because I watched their channel, but for a while I know YouTube was trying to hide their channel. It should look just like this. And their ad is Unscripted Truth TV. If you search for it that way, that'll definitely bring it up. At Unscripted Truth TV.
Oh, I really appreciate that. And I know
you're gonna look at it and say, these guys must be Masons.
well, that it's more exposing the Masonic connections and everything like that. It's also, I do all the thumbnails and everything, and I try to avoid the real heavy clickbaitiness, but the thumbnails is where I kind of let it rock. I do try to make them at least, eye catching or, interesting to look at. And usually, that helps with, our branding too. Just, I thought it was pretty clever having the G in the middle.
That I know that you're doing things right is, even though I'm subscribed to you, your things rarely ever show up in my feed. So that means YouTube has identified that they don't like the information you're sharing.
Yeah, I mean they were pretty blunt about it too, because I got this odd email saying that like I think you get a certain level of like guaranteed promotion if you show consistency on YouTube, and they basically said that they're not doing that anymore, and they didn't say why. I could pull up the email I think I'll post it as community post at some point, because it was a very cryptic, weird email. I mean, we've never been even warned for copyright or anything like that. I've never been. Yeah, the only thing we've ever gotten is the little community notes thing. But for whatever reason, it is what it is. It has been a huge help with with you sharing, and that's been huge because, our basis is, from meeting me and Austin. And if you guys don't know Austin, great guy. He's huge member of the community. He's been pound to pay with you multiple times. And that's how we met, was your coming to Portland. And so
Austin was actually the first person out in Portland, and he had to drive from Seattle. Shout out.
Absolutely. And, one of the main things of our channel is, well, let me finish what I was saying. We share you in our description, and, you're brought up, all the time, just as because we, for any new eyes that see our channel, they got to know why we are here, and we're here because of you. And we've always made that known. And so, but yeah, one of the biggest things of our channel is it was so inexplicable how we, got together, and, within a week and a half, from our first phone call, because we didn't get we didn't exchange numbers when we met. And then we both, I think, separately felt like, damn, why didn't we, get each other's numbers? So we had to find each other's numbers later on. And then, we finally called each other, and within a week we were doing a podcast, and we've done it every single Sunday for 57 weeks in a row, heading to 58 since we're talking so much about Freemasonry. But so, one of the things I hope that, regardless of the numbers or anything, I hope that people that do stop by our channel and get to see it it's two guys that, had a certain wavelength with each other that can only, I think, be truly achieved by meeting in person. And you have to be open to, stuff that was just normal in the 80s and 90s, it just needs to be re-normalized. People need to be open to one-on-one personal connection type things and expanding their bubble ever since that bubble's been introduced. It's really a chokehold. Obviously, we know about the C-19 agenda and how, where that put people and where they still are. And so it's just slowly breaking people out of that. And hopefully they can see us and say like, well, if they don't get involved directly with us, then, maybe they can go start their own thing. Or, we do encourage people to, hop on. We want more and more people to join. King Richard's been great. He's been our only guest. We've reached out to several people. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten any more people, but very fortunately we've gotten King Richard, who stay tuned, guys. This Sunday, if you guys do end up following or checking out, King Richard should be on, or he's penciled in. I don't want to put the calls to him like that, but yeah, it's been great. He's been on multiple times, and they've always been great episodes. But that's even that shows that just adding one more person, it's made the show that much better, and it's very possible. And I just that's one of our main messages is kind of a more personal thing where we want people to be able to get out of their bubble and, join conversations, whether you agree or disagree, just, I don't know, reinstitute, more personal connections and things of that nature. But of course we sprinkle in the decoding and then of course the more esoteric stories we've talked about and things like that. And I mentioned before, you took those other calls, how we've been doing the NASCAR season, and it definitely hasn't been from a very professional standpoint for both of us. It was just very leisurely that we were at first, for sure. But since as the season progressed, I don't know if anyone else doesn't follow NASCAR, there's only 2 races left until the Cup Championship, and we've had a couple narratives on the board. And more importantly, I think what can be ascertained from our coverage of NASCAR is that you had that last caller talking about, or a couple callers ago saying, he wanted lessons and things of that nature. And that could be great. And, I do think introductory lessons would be awesome. But I will say that I think it does take a certain mindset that you have to get yourself into. It takes a certain willingness and openness. And then from there, it does help to have a kind of a mathematically inclined brain. But aside from that, it really is just pattern recognition is the main focal point. It helps to have a knowledge base as well, because the patterns, you don't want, it's not recognizing 2 things that happen. It's recognizing a, pattern of 10 things 10, 15, 20 things that have happened. To really cement a certain pattern. But
Logan,
just in our
continue to run with it. I have to run for 30 seconds. I'll be right back, but I'm listening in the background. I'll be right back.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
So as far as NASCAR goes, before I get too long-winded, which is another trope of our channel, but with NASCAR, only thing I knew about NASCAR going into it was basically Jeff Gordon when I was in middle school, and I never paid attention to anything like that yet. Between me and Austin has a good knowledge base of NASCAR. He was a big fan of it before he woke up and things of that nature. So he has that to bring to the table, as well as he's great at Gematria. I'm decent at Gematria, and I have what I like to call Sports Center brain, where I was addicted to Sports Center for so much of my life that now I think that it's become sort of my superpower, to where I can see trending, or not it's not like divination or anything. I'm not an oracle, but I think I can track certain patterns that fit the narratives that when you're in it, you don't realize it, but everything is on a cycle. So once you take a step back, you can start to see the cycles in sports and politics and all these certain things, and you can apply them. And between me and Austin, we, for whatever reason, have been able to nail. I do need to go back and double check every single one that we've nailed, but I don't know if you guys understand, but it's 40 drivers. The odds that you pick a winner is pretty,
1 in 40 is 2.5% chance.
Great. There you go. But so we've called the winner. I want to say at least 8. And I think I'm pretty confident in 8.
If you put in a future for those and you hit 8 out of that many, you've made yourself a very nice profit this year. So,
and another thing we've noticed is just, which is pretty clear with given your work. If you guys are familiar with Zach's work, he ties all these things to the Jesuits, Catholic Church, the secret societies that spring from them, the Templars, Masons, things of that nature. NASCAR is very Jesuit, very Masonic, down to from the locations that they were formed, which I think in the off season, we're going to really start to highlight where these places, because, you got to lay the groundwork at some point. It didn't just spring out of nowhere and then the numbers came after. They had this stuff from the very beginning down to, where all the tracks are located, off suburbs of certain cities that just have the perfect numbers for them, rather than put them right there in the city where it would be a bigger attraction. So there's things of that nature, but this has been a very Masonic year for them. We've tracked 2 super highly Masonic rituals, and I don't know if you know this, but they have the Shriners 400.
Sure, there you go.
And that was a huge Hiram Abiff ritual where you had a driver who had won 2 in a row, which is already pretty crazy, go for 3 in a row, and he won 3 in a row. And in that same race, which, by the way, his name is Christopher Bell, which Bell is iconography and masonry. But so he won his 3rd at the Shriners 400, and that same race, you had a female driver who raced in about 6 or 7 races this year. She happened to be in that race, and you might know of the only black driver because he was super controversial for, there was like
the noose
race
thing, supposedly, that wasn't a noose.
Exactly. It was just like a hanging rope in a garage that is in every garage. So they say, it was very Jussie Smollett. It was right after Jussie Smollett too. So it was on the wings of right on the tail end of that. But Bubba Wallace, not only did they both crash, they crashed into each other in that same exact race. They DNF'd, did not finish because they crashed into each other. And we were just cracking up because not only did we call the three-peat, but because we saw the Masonic connections, but I don't have my notes up. I can't remember exactly what made it a Hiram Abiff ritual, whether or not it was the 201 connection, because I don't know if you know this, but 3 ruffians equals 201.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you had the black guy, representing the Prince Hall, or some might say Boulay. Not to say they're the same thing, and then you had the Order of the Eastern Star. You have those 2 factions of masonry who, obviously Chris Bell is a pasty white guy, but yeah, he wins his 3rd, and we called that. We've called several of them, but then speaking of 201, just in the first round of the playoffs, Joe Gibbs, the Washington Redskins coach, who is prolific in NASCAR. He's had a NASCAR team for a long time. He's going for his 6th Cup championship. He looks poised to win it too, but we'll see.
Been quite a few deaths from that Gibbs family recently too, by the same repetitive numbers. So.
And he has a grandson in the driving right now too, who, man, he's got some cojones knowing what he signed up for. You think he'd have an inkling of what could happen to him with that, But in the first round of the playoffs, you had his 3 drivers, all 3 of them sweep the first round for Joe Gibbs. And that 3rd win was done by Christopher Bell. And that was also the 201st win for Toyota too. So there's a lot of Toyota
literally equals Freemason. It equals 96. So,
yeah. And Gibbs equals 33. Joe Gibbs equals 33.
Yeah,
there's a lot going for it. I will say I'll give a little feeler out for people, but just to let people know, don't sleep on Fords. We've had a prediction for Fords. I'll just be blunt because it's not like we're not suggesting you guys bet or anything like that necessarily, but we're doing it basically for our own vindication and being able to understand that we're, we have our fingers to the pulse of the narrative and things of that nature. And so far we've been pretty spot on, but we've had a very early call for Ford to potentially get a four-peat because they've won the last 3 championships. And right now, there's 2 Fords in it, and those 2 are like on the outside looking in, like as in one of them definitely has to win the race in order to get into the playoffs, or else something crazy would have to happen for them one to get in without winning the next race. And with all the biblical stuff we were talking that people have been talking about, you mentioned about all the horse iconography you've been noticing. Well, the Ford drivers, they drive the Dark Horse Mustangs.
Yeah,
and
Mustangs.
And so, yeah, just letting you guys know, don't sleep on Blaney. I know he looks like he's out. He's won the last 2 at this particular track, Martinsville, VA equals 201, where they're racing. It also equals 93, and Blaney's it'll be 9 weeks and 3 days from Blaney's birthday, and Ryan Michael Blaney equals 93 as well. But yeah, so there could be some fireworks for the
There's been a lot of people calling for me to do NASCAR for a long time, and NASCAR is just not my thing. But for all you NASCAR people out there, you got to be on UTTV. They've been killing it all year with the NASCAR picks. So,
and it's really been a lot of fun. But aside from the sports, we do talk about anything and everything. Really, we had before we had any kind of real itinerary for what we wanted to cover. It was just like what stuff we wanted to talk about before we even had followers or anything like that. And I do think if you were to backlog, go back and watch some of our videos, there's some heat in there. And once NASCAR's done, it will be a lot more like that, where we're just covering certain topics and giving our takes and everything like that. And that's where, everyone feel free to get involved. Richard's not the only one invited, even though he's the only one that showed up. So everybody's invited.
He wants to get back on here, so he must have something to add.
Oh, what's up? What's up, guys? My bad. Doing some research right now.
Oh, I thought you wanted to share something else.
Oh, yeah, I did. Because I did email you, but you never got back to me, and it's cool. I understand you're probably busy, but did you know about the Art of War? Well, obviously you do, but the chapter, the 9 situations, if you write that out, that actually does something to 102.
Just like Art of War. I see your email here. You sent it to me on Sunday. Sorry.
Yep. I'm like, yeah, because I had to decode that. Does your translation, because I know you have the Art of War book, correct?
Uh-huh.
Does your translation have 207 pages in it in total?
I do not believe mine has 207 pages. I'd have to go back and look, but because I can read mine in no time, and there's no way I can read it. So that must be a longer version of it, or either the Prince Huge or something.
Yeah, because my translation, mine's a hard copy, and it has exactly 207 pages. And I thought, 207. And I was like, I figured I'd ask Zach about it because he also has the Art of War book. I'm like, is it 207 pages long? But it probably differs depending on the translation.
Yeah, exactly. The way they want to put, because again, the Jesuit priest who made the book popular, his name's 207.
Yeah,
right?
207. Yeah. So that's why I was like, But yeah, I figured I'd ask you about that because it's like, 207 pages. But yeah, I understand there's different translations out there of the book too. So.
Right. Yeah.
And Sun Tzu literally equals Loyola. Literally equals Loyola and Gematria. Sun Tzu.
Again, no proof of Sun Tzu ever existed. Sun, S-U-N, like the Jesuit logo.
Yep.
Nobody know about the text without them.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and again, they're responsible for the heliocentric model too.
Yeah.
Not to say that I'm a flat earther.
20th moon landing, 7/20/207.
Yep, 207. But yeah, I think that's about it, man. I just figured I'd add that in there. But yeah, hey, appreciate you. Hey, and good to see Logan on here, man. Speaking facts.
Are you going to be on there for their show this Sunday? You going to help them hype the show?
Yep. I want to share my posts, about the World Series too, man. Just like such a mockery, man. I have a buddy at work. I'm trying to wake him up to this stuff too, because like he believes like all the games aren't rigged. I'm like, come on, dude, really? And then I just showed him yesterday. I was like, okay, what are the odds that Kendrick Lamar is beefing with Drake and their names both equal 57, like World Series, and Toronto, where Drake's from, and LA, where Kendrick's from, they just so happen to be in the World Series.
And the World Series starts on Drake's birthday?
Yep. And that's the day leaving 68 days left in the year. And if you haven't seen, anybody hasn't seen, go look it up. There's people out there posting that Drake is rocking a LA Dodgers shirt, a jersey, an Ohtani jersey. And literally his name equals 68, like championship. Actually, his name actually equals championship in Gematria in all 4 ciphers. And Drake's birthday is the day leaving 68 days left in the year. And that's the day 1 of the World Series this year. So,
Yeah.
Major League Baseball and Toronto equal 117 as well. I know there's.
you know what else
Wilson
equals the
just
same
stayed on
thing?
117 career wins.
You know what else equals the same thing as well? As we're talking about Kendrick Lamar, his diss song "Not Like Us" it literally equals Toronto, literally.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and it came out on 5/4, and when you write the other way with numerology, it's 54. So, I mean, what are the odds of that? So I shared that with him, right? And he's just like, "Oh, come on, man! Coincidences happen, man. You really believe that?" I'm like, "Dude, you got to be trolling me right now." I'm like, "You got to be trolling me right now after everything I just shared with you."
Cognitive dissonance is a real thing.
Yep.
What you're talking, let me get your guys' opinion on this. Somebody left a comment today and they said, Zach, it's not right for you to say that anybody's worldview is wrong. Everyone is entitled to their own worldview. None of us know for sure. Now, I would agree that none of us know for sure, but
Right.
are some people's worldviews just totally wrong and deserve to be called out? I think so.
Religious people, especially, are the worst.
What do you think, Logan?
Well, as far as worldviews go, I think obviously they're gonna differ person to person. But as far as the cult like mindset, I do think that it's one of those things that when you're in it, you can't see the forest from the trees, and so it's hard. It's really hard to not be judgmental in the day and age we're living in. But because I can, I succumbed to all the worldly crap, but not except the political stuff. But as far as the sports, entertainment, and all that garbage. But yeah, it does seem like the TikTok brain rot is the new normal.
6-7 meme too.
Yeah, and it's really tough too when all these memes obviously are aimed at kids, and you see the kids as the main
Yep.
people acting out these things, because it's just like that what I say is that's where the revolution starts, is parents with their children, because or for right now parents, the lack of parents with their children.
Well, it's mainly screens parenting people's children now, right? I mean, you see everybody now. Like when I was growing up, I mean, I didn't really have any electronic gadgets and stuff like that. But I went outside and played with the other kids. But you see now, nobody's out there doing that. I go to the basketball court, or just walking around, don't see nobody outside, but it's inside playing the games on the computer. So,
Indeed.
yeah, it's
Well,
sad,
gentlemen,
man.
I do got to wrap it up because I got to get sweet girl here. Closing words, Logan, if you want to go first. Again, you guys, UTTV, that's Logan's spot. King Rich, do you have a YouTube channel now? I mean, you've had channels come and go.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I can't stream on it though. That's the thing. I can't stream on it for about a week. They gave me a copyright strike. The NFL did, so
I
I
see.
can't
So
stream
you're
on it.
suspended
So.
right now.
But yeah, it's the same channel. It's King Richard TV. It's all one word. I just can't stream on it. So
Okay, Logan is UTTV, and then King Richard TV, and I guess I got unsubscribed to your channel somehow. So here
no,
I am.
it's no, you weren't. It's just what happened was my other channel ended up getting deleted, so I had to make a whole new one and build this one up again.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought happened. Okay.
Yeah, it got taken down. So
okay.
Man, I did numbers when I covered the Stockton. Do you guys remember that story, the Stockton serial killer?
I'm aware of it, but I haven't actually looked into that one.
Yeah, it was a huge 67 operation. I covered that, and I got all kinds of views that day. And then I got a strike on my channel for that for that video. I got a strike for it, for hate speech. And I didn't even spew any hate speech. All I said was killer equals 67. And I'm like, come on, man, it's a big 67 operation. And I got a strike for it later on that day.
Okay. Somebody in the chat asked if they can join. I do have to go get my daughter, but I can be 10 minutes late. So I dropped the link. Logan, if you want to close out, Rich, if you want to close out, and then I'll let this other person in here real quick, and then I got to go.
Yeah, I just want to say another big shout out to you, and obviously shout out to King Richard too. Great information, and any help he can get his channel back up would be greatly needed, because as you say, Zach, he's a great decoder. He has a very quick mind, just like you, as far as connecting the numbers and the narrative.
Learn from the best, right?
But yeah, just thank you so much for the chance to come on here and talk my mess and ramble on as I tend to do. But yeah, guys, we gotta make moves at some point. Whether it starts personally, I think, but eventually, you got to move. Out of the you got to expand your guys' bubbles and get out and figure it out. I mean, even if getting out means, on the internet right now, we got to use it while we have it, because, the internet today will not be the same in 5 years, and probably even less than that. So
just like it's way worse than it was 10 years ago. I mean, it's so many good things are gone. People like me hardly exist on YouTube anymore. And all these new people that are connected to the industry that act like they're little independent street journalists are like the Nick Shirleys of the world is what's getting pumped. So,
dude, I remember when people would post, well, I'm not even gonna say it, but the the SH thing, people were exposing that. You can't even find that no more. I remember 10 years ago I could find that. Now I can't even find it. So
there's a lot of things that used to be here that are just gone. All right, thank you very much, Logan, and you should come on more, man. Promote the show every time you come on.
I appreciate that. I'll do my best.
All right. Yeah, he's a father. He's a busy man. All right, Logan, you have a good day.
All right, later, man.
All right, take care. And King Richard's channel. So UTTV is where Logan and Austin do their thing, and Richard's a recurring guest on there. And King Richard TV really is one of the best decoders in the world. And
yeah. But one thing I gotta say, man, is there's other people that gotta start going on the podcast too, not just me, but other people out there in the community. I see a lot of people in the chat always documenting stuff, but don't ever really show up on there, man. So it'd be like a great thing.
All the people that don't because they're afraid for one reason or another, you got to get over that. You got to get over this whole fear thing. Fear is keeping almost everybody back from doing the things they should be doing. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, people should be out here trying to come together. Also, I want to say, just because I'm out here, I can't just be me either. I'm also out here in California pushing the Gematria and spreading that around, but it can't just be me. It has to be other people too. It can't just be, me or you. It has to be everybody else as well. People have to join together too. So, as far as anything else having to say, I mean, just what are the odds of that? The World Series this year, it's they're calling it the Drake and Kendrick World Series. I mean, come on, man. And Ohtani, he's born on a day written 5/7, like World Series is 57. A team that I'm looking at for next year, because I don't really care about the World Series this year, but next year I'm looking out for two teams that have the 122 connection. The Kansas City Royals, Kansas City's 122, like San Francisco's 122, and it's located on the 122nd meridian. So those are two teams I'm watching out for. But yeah, and it could be a rematch, the 2014 World Series. So
the West Coast cities, Seattle, Portland, and San Francisco, are all on the 122nd meridian. Of course, Seattle was knocking on the door. So,
yeah, I don't think the Mariners could go next year. I mean, it could be a possibility, but these are just thoughts and ideas right now. But yeah, I mean, just
the Mariners pitching staff, if they keep intact, is young. And historically in baseball, you get a little bit better as you get a little bit further into your career. So, again, a lot can happen in off season, but Seattle's one of those teams that's never been. They were knocking on the door. If they keep their team together, they should be better.
Right? They were the closest they've ever been in the World Series, right, this year?
Yeah, they like 122 up in Seattle. So I'm thinking about that. I was telling people that this year, a lot of people in my community told me it wasn't going to be the Blue Jays, going to be the Mariners, because when the Blue Jays are the team, they go 121. I don't see the only connection to 121 with the Mariners.
Yeah,
they are on the 122nd meridian, so we'll see about next year.
Yeah, Blue Jays are the only ones with the 121 connection, and LA too, because Al's the first, or Al's the 12th letter and A's the first, like L 121. And he just had the Fires there at the start of the year too, with 121 all over it. That's what kind of gave me a big clue this year about that. The Fires this year in LA,
Yeah, those fires in the World Series have been quite a theme with LA. I got a Vice News hit piece up on me from 2017, right, about the La Tuna fires and why the Dodgers are going to lose to the Astros in the World Series. So,
Yeah, exactly.
anyway.
So yeah, I figured I'd end it off with that. But yeah, hey, appreciate you and thank you for shouting out my channel. Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, King Richard, you have a good one.
All right, you too, man.
All right. Now here's my favorite. They've turned into trolls, but I know they are intelligent. They're going to come on here and talk a whole bunch of jibber jabber. But if they don't jibber jabber, and I'm even going to let them up here, if they just want to promote their work and where people can find out their work, even though they drive me insane, they can do that. But we'll see what they're going to do. All right. Welcome back to the show, Switzerland. You got to unmute yourself. You're muted. You got the microphone with the cross through. You got to click it. Is this the person in the chat who was asking to come on here? Because it didn't say Switzerland in the chat. But since you came on, I'll give you a few more minutes. I do have to go get my daughter here pretty quick, though. They're apparently not going to unmute themselves. They're just going to be weird. Yeah, I don't know. They are strange. That's that. If you guys don't know, it's a couple. They're from Switzerland. They do the Gematria thing too. I give them a lot of compliments. They'd call in TFR. I always tell people to go check out their work, and then they just turn into a bunch of trolls. I don't even know what to do. So anyway. One other thing I got to promote. We had our friend come on here, and he said to check out this YouTube channel. It sounded a little bit interesting. He said this is what he thinks is one of the best channels. Now, this is interesting because they must just be posting information because they're not doing videos on YouTube. They're just using the post to share information. And, okay, for my Spanish-speaking friends, it looks like this is going to work more for you. I'm going to have to be using some translations. But yeah, for anyone who speaks Spanish, gentleman came on earlier and he said that this is the channel to check out. Yeah, but they're only using the post section. They're almost using YouTube like it's Twitter or X or this type of thing. So Facebook. All right, but Ricardo Delgado's community, La Cuenta Columna, if I'm saying that correctly. Again, my Spanish isn't too great. I haven't been in Spanish class since 8th grade. Have I ever told you guys what happened to me when I was in 8th grade Spanish class? I was trying to be honest and I got in trouble. It's funny the way life is. I was a hardworking student. I wanted to earn my grades, and we were having a test in Spanish class. Somebody stole the answer key from the teacher's desk, and they were passing it around silently, right? And it got to my desk. And I didn't call anybody out or anything, but I just let it sit there on the desk, which, thinking back, I was like, that probably wasn't the smartest move, but I didn't even look at it. I'd studied for the test. I didn't need to cheat. Well, the teacher walks by. What is this on your desk? And I was like, oh, shit. And sure enough, I got a big fat 0 for cheating, and I literally didn't cheat. And then it was like the first time I didn't get an A in a class in middle school because I couldn't recover. I ended up getting a B. I did well on everything else, but I got a big fat 0 for cheating, and I didn't even cheat. I still remember that to this day. I think the Swiss people tried to come back. Let's give them one more shot, because in a way they humor me. Migu Swiss 196. You got to unmute yourself though. Come on, geniuses. But I guess this is they call this the online silent treatment. They're like, we're here, we're watching, we're still trolling. If you guys want to come on, I will let you promote your website. I'd honestly just even put it up there because I know you guys do good work, but I can't remember it because I haven't been there in the last 5 years since you've been trolling for all that time. I literally forgot the name of your website. My favorite thing is, though, when they do speak, they act like I learned from them. I always love that part. It's like, okay, we are really trying to twist reality around here, aren't we? All right. Well, I gave him 2 shots. See, I even give my trolls a million chances. But no, in reality, even though they are trolls, they do great gematria decodes. I mean, you got to give it to them. That's why I was actually going to bring them on, just because that even though I might not like 90% of them, I do like the 10% of the personality that's the good decoding. All right, I do got to go get my daughter too. Thanks again to everyone who hit the like and the share. Thank you everyone who gave a super chat. I think I missed one here. Willis19 said, too bad YouTube deleted all your channels. You used to have gematria lessons on Patreon that got wiped. That's true too. Yeah, and I used to just have free YouTube lessons on my public channel way before I started a Patreon. I used to have a whole learning playlist, gematria learning playlist. Chris said he's up $1,363 in 3 days. Boom, 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 boom. Good job, Chris. The beauty of the knowledge, you guys. Don't waste your money on junk food. Learn to turn a 5 into 50, 100. You can do it with this knowledge. You can do it on a regular basis. Don't count on it every night. But hey, if you're not wasting money and you're spending it on what we like to call sports investments, taking advantage of the rig system, it does add up. Hey, here's the person I dropped the link for. Real quick, Golden Age Deception. I got to go get my daughter, but if you can be real quick, I got you.
Oh yeah, man, it was good. I joined the stream here a few times, but I thought it was real cool. I've always wanted to tell you this. So I live in San Antonio, and then I was in Austin actually. Just like like spreading this knowledge, some stuff that I heard from your stream. And this one guy actually was aware of you, which was like crazy. And like, man, you sound a lot familiar like this one YouTuber, and I thought that was a cool people are actually getting this information out and hearing you. So. Like, it's working. I'll tell you that right now.
We needed to be working a lot better, but it is good to hear that some people out
Yeah,
there are aware.
that was the first time I've ever gotten an engagement, of like someone actually knowing your work. But I plan on buying your book and reading it, bro. And then yeah, keep it up.
All right, man. Appreciate that, Golden Age Deception. You have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, take care. All right, I do got to go get my daughter, you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you again to everyone who hit the like and the share. Brian, if you're out there, I mean, seriously, what is your deal, man? I mean, you keep up with every viral topic. You come with the same 3 talking points. It's working. You're making money, but don't you just want to give your audience something new? I mean, there's anything new. It's the same talking points. And again, I mean, seriously, if you were in the lobby with that guy yesterday, you think you could have got him as far off the Trump thing as I did? I don't think you could have. And by the way, the other reason I got you up there, Brian, calling you a liar is because here's another thing I got to call Brian out for. I offered him and his wife $1,000 to come out to our rally in Oklahoma City. I had to drive from Seattle to Oklahoma City. He lives an hour away from Oklahoma City. He lives in the state of Oklahoma, an hour drive away. I offered him $1,000 to come out with his wife so that they could have a hotel. What did Brian do? He goes online. He goes, that Zach guy offered me thousands of dollars to come out. Okay, I didn't offer you thousands of dollars. I offered you $1,000, which was very generous. And the reason I offered Brian $1,000, and I've always had the same standpoint on Brian. I like some of what he does. He has a good following. I thought he'd bring out some yokels too from Oklahoma to help us have a little powwow and raise some awareness about what really happened on April 19th. And by the way, I mean, where's your Rothschild quote help out with what happened on April 19th, Brian, compared to what we're putting down? We used that knowledge to pat our pockets off the NBA Finals last year. The playoffs started on April 19th. OKC wins, 79 season. They came from Seattle and won the championship in 79. We had all spelled out before the season even began. And we know this year it's going to be all about Benji BB Netanyahu from Philadelphia. Yeah, yesterday had 76 date numerology for the opener. The 76ers won the championship the year he graduated from high school in Philly. The way they do these scripts, it's unbelievable. But yeah, Brian, you lied about that too. So I think it is fair to have your face up there with, are you listening to liars? And, Brian, even though you are partly a liar, I still see the good in you. You've slandered me a lot and downplayed this information and peddled false quotes that there's no proof ever existed. And Brian also, if you guys don't know what happened to me when I got to Oklahoma City, I had 3 cops go hands-on. Well, technically they were armed security for the museum. I had 3 armed security go hands-on and shove me all around before I could even set foot in the building. And somehow, some way, Brian had a video out on it in 30 minutes. I'm not even kidding you guys. It was 30 minutes after this guy had a video. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe how fast he had the video. I was like, he's sitting here watching my damn channel right now that he didn't come out here to help us with. And if you watch his video he did on it, he said, anytime you do something like this, you should have other people with you. Brian, you could have been there. You and your wife could have been there. And other people did show up. I just got into town a day before I said I was. So I got there early. I was going to go check out the museum, and somehow, some way, and I wasn't even recording when I got there. I mean, I pulled out my phone once they went hands-on to record what was happening to me. Brian immediately has a video up doing his, he's one of those cop watchers. It's his other channel, but Brian, you're something else, buddy. You're something else. And the thing about Brian is, see, that's the thing a lot of you guys don't get. I act like an asshole online, but I'm not in person. People who know Brian in person say he's an asshole in person, but he acts like a goody two-shoes online. And for any guys who wonder why I act like more of an asshole online, like I said, the first 50 videos I did on YouTube, I acted like Mr. Rogers. Nobody watched any of those damn videos. First time I acted like an asshole, I got a bunch of views. So I said, well, I guess there's just something being an asshole online to make people actually watch. They don't listen to Mr. Rogers. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now. And until next time.